Okay, there we go. Welcome to another episode, Pound for Pound Boxing Report, episode 174. I'm your host, Michael. Joining me this week, uh, after being off last week, after not being around, due to some Gail from Community Digital News, back Adrian Yoshino from the Inscriber, Jacob from Jab Hook. I'm your host, Michael. What's going on, ladies and gents?
Evening all. Evening all. Hope y'all had a happy 4th.
Hello.
Hello.
Indeed,
I'm glad to be
indeed.
back.
Hello.
Glad to have you back. Glad to have you back. Everybody mute your mics, please, because I'm hearing some echo.
Evening all. Hope y'all had a happy 4th.
Hello.
Is it me? Glad to be
Indeed.
back.
Hello.
Glad to have you back. Glad to have you back. Okay. Everybody mute your mics. There you go. There you go. There you go. For those report pound for pound box reports, a live YouTube shows and blog. I think you're fine. I think you're fine now. So, podcast and blog discussing all things boxing. The motto is: when boxing is good, we will talk about it. When boxing is bad, we will talk about it. Bottom line, if it concerns boxing, we will talk about it. One main place you want to go to if you want to find out everything about Pound for Pound Boxing Report, that's the blog page. p4pboxingreport.wordpress.com is the link. Check the right of the page. You will find pages on Tumblr, G Google Play Music, Twitter as well. Also links to where to listen to us on SoundCloud, iTunes, Stitcher Radio, Player FM over in the UK, as well as Mixcloud. Show started tonight. Last week. Main fight went place in Australia, Brisbane, Australia to be specific. My name Jeff Horn. Can y'all say upset? We didn't see that coming, did we? As Jeff Horn defeated Manny Pacquiao by unanimous decision, 113 on 2 scorecards, 117 the third. And I will go, since you were off last week, Gail, I will go to you. A lot of controversy, a lot of stuff that's happened before and after the bout. Your vantage point, talk about what went down not only during the fight, but taking place. That's all the comments that you've read and heard after the fight.
Well, this is why, despite any predictions ahead of time, no matter how much of a lopsided matchup it looks like, you got to actually conduct the fights. You've got to actually put the guys in the ring, because occasionally one guy really does shock the world. It does happen, and it did happen. Well, whether you consider it a flat-out robbery, whether you consider it a surprise or something in between, there's a lot of viewpoints on this, and I think depending on your perspective, you could justify your opinion. I am not one of those people that saw it as an outright, flat-out robbery. A shock? Yeah. A surprise? Yeah. Would I have bet money? Hell no. But while I would not have scored the fight exactly the same way, I think the 115, 113 cards could be justified. I think either of those judges, I'm sure, could have made a very good case that I would have said, okay, I gotcha. 117? No. No. Miss Roldan, I don't know from what angle she was seeing the fight, but she certainly saw something different than the other two judges. Nevertheless, that's why you have 3 judges. And this illustrates a lot of how boxing operates and how boxing, when the fighter doesn't take it out of the judge's hands, is a judgment call. It's a human judgment call. I am not a real big one for, conspiracy theories. And in this case, you can talk about home cooking, but you had no judges from Australia. You had American judges and an Argentinian judge. So I'm not quite sure where the home cooking from the judges comes from, unless you're swayed by the crowd, which is possible even if you're a neutral judge. Whether this points out some improvements that could be made in the judging system, yes, certainly. But I'll tell you what, something we may want to get into after our initial analysis is that I think no matter what you thought about the outcome, people are talking, the ratings were terrific, and this is nothing but good for boxing as a whole.
I will go to you, Adrian. I had to mute your mic because, like I said, I was hearing some echo. Unmute your mic, please. Just go to the top and you just press the mic button to unmute your mic. While we was discussing the fight last week, and we pretty much was a consensus here that we felt that Pacquiao was going to win. Well, the main one was saying basically, while you felt that Pacquiao should win, never know. Don't be surprised. That what made you also give your analysis of your breakdown, I should say, of what went down in Australia.
Okay, can you hear me?
Unmute your mic, Adrian.
I'm sorry, I think I was muted. Okay. I have to go with Gail on this. I've looked at a couple of Horn fights before I actually saw it. And I've watched the fight 3 times since then. And I didn't feel like it was a robbery at all. If anything, it could have been a draw, but I didn't think it was a robbery. I thought that Jeff Horn was the aggressor throughout the fight. I thought that I wasn't surprised, I guess, because, I had recently watched him fight. One of the things that, because I had never heard of him, but one of the things I was impressed with was how he kept coming forward. He was the aggressor, and he threw some really hard body shots. In that first round, if you go back and take a look at the fight, you'll notice that he was really good at cutting Pacquiao off in the ring. And whenever he got Pacquiao up against the ropes, he would score. He was really good at fighting on the inside. And I don't think people were watching that as much during the, if you watched it the first time when it first aired. But Jeff Horn was really hitting Pacquiao pretty hard in the body anytime he'd get a chance. And again, he was the aggressor. Pacquiao obviously has lost some speed and maybe some power, although he did get Horn in the ninth. And to me, I thought he should have got him out of there. I was surprised that Pacquiao couldn't finish him off. You don't see the speed that he used to have. You don't see the accuracy he used to have. Horn was really good at with uppercuts. I noticed that too during the fight. And I don't think Manny had ever been handled like that before. Most of the people that Manny's fought, with the exception of maybe Mayweather, they're usually stationary. They're not moving in the ring like Horn was. And I thought he did a pretty good job. Again, I don't think it was a robbery. I really don't. I just think that he was the better person. He really wanted to win this fight. And he did.
Sorry, I had my mic muted. I'll go to EJ Boxing Live. EJ Boxing Live has joined us. I hadn't really heard commentary from you and your crew over there. I'm going to give you the opportunity to talk about this fight now. Your thoughts on what went down.
Oh, yeah.
Is this fight, in your opinion, let me finish, of what Horn did, getting showing some signs of deterioration, a combination of both? Your thoughts on the fight?
Yeah, like, boy, that was one of the biggest upset. I was thinking since Mike Tyson and Buster Douglas. Like, no. I was talking to loads of the channels as well. Like, how many people covered it? Did they actually think it was going to be competitive? And no, most of the jury moments are no. I used to do breakdown videos, and we didn't even do it. Like most of the people I talked to, they didn't do it because they feel like, you know, Pacquiao's just picking this guy to go over there, you know, in Australia. Just, you know, like Ray Robertson did when he came over to here and he fought Randy Turpin. So, you know, he just, you know, Pacquiao's gonna holiday, then try and go for the Mayweather fight or whatever fight, and it was a massive upset. I saw the first. I to be honest with you, I'll be fair, I fell asleep, but then I woke up in the morning, got a copy of it, and watched it. And I watched it the whole day, the day after, and I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe Pacquiao was just getting beaten up in the first. Me personally, I think he gave up the first 3 rounds. I was like, whoa, that's just me. Like, I mean, I was like, oh, because they said like he got robbed. So I was like, all right, let me watch it. And I was like, nah, he getting his ass whipped, man. Like, I'm not the fingers off, man. I was thinking, so what's wrong with Freddie Roach here and the rehydration clause? So they had no respect for this guy. First off, you know, with Freddie Roach and thing, they usually have a rehydration clause. You can't go up to a certain amount, you know, usually 5 pounds. So they didn't care about that. They didn't care that this guy was, you know, a big 47. They had no respect for this guy at all. And this Horn did what boxing people been doing for years. He came in at a game plan. He probably used the Marquez game plan, the Floyd Mayweather Marquez, and he was on the move, man. He wouldn't move, stick a move like Biggie Sports thing. Street like boxing, stick a move. he just kept, you know, it was really good, you know. And the 9th round when the referee came in, or whether we came over in the corner, yeah, he was wobbled and stuff like that. But you know, he could have gave a standing 8 count, but you know, I don't think the referee need to go that far. But I understand, you know, it's Pacquiao and stuff like that. But he came out again and he won the fight. And in my scorecard, when I had it all said and done, I had Horn by 2 rounds. But at the time, most people thought he probably wouldn't get it. And when he got it, I was like, yeah, man, you know, he won the fight. He beat Manny Pacquiao, to me, fair and square. And, you know, other people going to say, no, they thought Pacquiao won. That's fine. You know, it was a very close fight. It wasn't a robbery, in my opinion. Freddie Roach and Stephen A. Smith. Whoa, man, Stephen A. Smith needs to chill about who's Randall Bailey and so on. I was like, Randall Bailey's a dangerous dude, though. You know about Mike Jones?
Leave Stephen A. Smith for me, because I got something for him.
Yeah, but you know, I could put the whole thing.
Leave Stephen A. for me, but
you know what I'm saying? I got the whole thing. I was like, this Stephen A. Smith, it's like, nah, bro, you can do that on basketball. You can probably do it on football, but you can't do that on boxing. You need to know your.
Leave him to me. Leave him to me, because I got something for him. But yeah, go ahead.
Cool, yeah. So yeah, and you know, just the whole thing, and you know, Jeff Horn people getting abused after the fight, his family getting abused by Manny Pacquiao fan, Bob Arum, you know, there's a rematch clause, and you know what I'm saying? It's just this whole disarray. But the fight, I love the fight, man. I love the fight. It was good to see down in Australia, a packed stadium, outdoor. It was like one of them old fights back in there. Manny looked small, man. Manny looked tiny. It just looked like, wow. You know, Manny Pacquiao's been a great fighter, but maybe it's because there's certain things that he was allowed to do, and you start questioning. You know, there was talk about, you know, was he on roids or whatever and stuff like that. But he just looked, nah, man, you need to give it up, man. You don't want to see this. You know what I mean? This is when people get hurt. So, you know, Jeff Horn's won, and he called out Mayweather. And the walking stick is funny, but hey, listen, like I said, yeah, one of the biggest upsets I've seen, and probably you're ever gonna see them. Someone made a lot of money, and I didn't. I usually get them sort of things like Tyson Fury and Klitschko. Usually I get them sort of things, but I was actually at another show in the UK. Actually, I was seeing all the UK talent come up. So it was one of the biggest upsets I've seen, and you know what? Good on Jeff Horn. You know, I ain't got nothing bad to say about him. It's good for boxing. You know, it's good for boxing. That's all I got to say about it, man. That's my take.
I go to you on this one, Dick, because this has been a while. You've been here. Thoughts on the fight? Did you consider it robbery? Were you surprised at Pacquiao and how he performed? Were you surprised at Jeff Horn? How overall thoughts?
Yeah, so I did. I mean, I had the fight for Pacquiao. Will I call it a robbery? I would say it was a close fight. I think EJ said it earlier. Pacquiao gave a lot of the early rounds. He was doing uncharacteristic things like putting himself on the ropes, and Horn was landing, you know, some good uppercuts and whatnot. But the overall fight, in my opinion, I felt like, yes, Horn was aggressive, but I didn't think he was like that effective in his aggression. Like, I thought he missed a lot of shots, and I thought Manny was countering him. But I had said this before: Manny should retire and should have retired after the Mayweather fight. But we all know he's not going to. Money talks, and he's going to keep on fighting. And this is probably the start of his fall, or maybe even Mayweather the start of his fall. As far as Jeff Horn, I mean, he shouldn't get any, flack because he's not judging the fight. I mean, he's just going in there to do his job. So, he did his job. He put the aggression on there. He was obviously trying to win the fight. I think his skills are very primitive. I think if he gets in there with any top 147 pounder, he's going to get worked pretty badly. I think him calling out Mayweather is a ploy to get more money. Obviously, that's what everybody does because Floyd's the man who brings the money. So, everybody always calls him out because, if they can get him in the ring, that's a guaranteed payday right there, and they don't even have to win the fight. So, the 117, 111 card, though, is garbage. If anything, this shone a light on me for the judging system continuously seems to fail us, I believe. I think it needs to be rehauled. I think that they need to get rid of this 3-judge system. I think they should expand it to more people, maybe even some of the boxing media, and maybe do something like where they take the best of, I don't know, let's say there's 7 best of 4 cards, and but they got to do something because and I don't know if we'll talk about it, but the previous night before, Robert Easter in his fight, there was problems there with that card where they had 2 judges had him winning in clean sweep, which was to me preposterous. So again, I don't. Maybe it did. The ratings were good, and it was an exciting fight, and maybe it brings more eyes to boxing. But I still think that the judging is one of the biggest problems in boxing, along with not making weight.
We'll talk about that Easter Shafikov bout in a few. I'll go to you, Daniel. We talked about this fight on your show last week, Joe and Francis, before Boxing as well as both from Truth is Facts. Jacob talked about how Pacquiao should retire, but will not, probably because of the money. So not only give you a breakdown, but kind of piggybacking off what Jacob was saying about Pacquiao's future. Talk about all the talk between Pacquiao and Aaron or whoever raised that took place after the bout.
Well, the main issue to me is when you look into this fight is we might have just seen Manny Pacquiao just get old. It does happen, unfortunately. And one of the first things to go when you get old, unfortunately, is your legs as a fighter. And for as much power as Manny Pacquiao always has in the left hand, people, I think, forget to notice that a lot of that is on his legs. Because he does have short arms for a fighter his size. So what he does is he positions himself with the angles, and then he uses his legs to pretty much launch himself with that straight left hand, which adds even more power to the power that he already had. You didn't see that much in this fight. You didn't see, actually, one of the trademark Manny Pacquiao moves is when he's in fighting, he has both his hands moving in a rhythmic fashion. It's not like one hand is up, the other hand's down up. Both hands moving the same direction in the same rhythm. They didn't see that at all in this fight. Now, part of that may just be that they legitimately took Jeff Horn lightly. Because let's face it, a lot of people did not give Horn a chance. And thought that probably Manny's going to railroad him. Now, granted, if this was a Manny Pacquiao of 2009, 2010, yeah, he probably would have railroaded. He probably would have railroaded Horn, particularly after the 9th round. But
Mm-hmm.
The fact that Horn was doing a couple of things, a few things actually that you don't see before when you fight a Manny Pacquiao. Number one, Jeff Horn is a full-blown welterweight, and it was pretty evident looking at the Manny because he immediately went in there and tried to put him on the ropes and bully him with body shots.
Mm-hmm.
That's one. Number two, he did a little stagger motion similar to what Sean Porter does. And what that did is it didn't let Manny get enough distance consistently where he can figure out when to launch himself and throw the left hand at him. And let's face it, I didn't think this fight was a robbery. I would have thought 115, 113, either way, I would be okay with. You can justify it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that 117, 111 card is like a good friend puts. That's a card you come in with. That's a card you've already filled out. You don't care what's happening. You're just laying it there. But probably the one telling sign that we can see that this fight is probably a lot tougher is Manny Pacquiao did throw some clean left hands. They did land. Horn took those pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
There were a couple of Jeff Horn punches that Manny Pacquiao did not take well. And even after that 9th round where Manny almost put it away, they got close enough where the referee had to tell Horn's corner, you better show me something or I'm stopping this fight. And like I say, I give Horn credit that he did.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as far as future, I'll ask Mike. I'm going to ask the same question. So, like I said, you and Bo don't have to answer it, but I'm going to ask the same question now that I asked last night to you, Bo, Joe, and Francis, when it comes to this Manny Pacquiao. And anybody can answer. Would you put this Manny Pacquiao against Errol Spence?
No. No.
Who-
There's
who-
no.
you're-
There's no way.
Not a chance.
Mm-mm.
Nope.
Okay, that's one. Would you?
So wait,
put-
you're asking would Bob Arum do it, or
No.
would I personally do it?
You.
No, I mean he should retire a long time ago, but he's a
Okay.
boxer and they don't retire. That's what happens.
I'll put him in there. I'll put him in there. Pacquiao whoop his ass. I'll tell you what, yeah, he might turn up. You know what I'm saying? Like he ain't gonna just come in like Horn and just like underestimate him. Boy, Pacquiao's still dangerous, you know. Like he just like I feel like he took his eye off the ball. Yeah, and you know you could arguably say he's short and all that stuff, but at the end of the day, you have to think complacency comes in. Lennox Lewis, Hassan Ratman in South Africa, bro. The same thing, the altitude in Australia, that has a factor into it as well, you know. I'll put Pacquiao in there against them dudes there. Pacquiao's still dangerous, man. You know what I mean? When he just beat Tim Bradley, man. Tim Bradley.
I don't think he can handle those body shots, though.
I agree with you.
And that's something that Horn was able to do, was get to his body.
Yeah, but Pacquiao, I agree with you with that, what you're saying. But Pacquiao, again, like, you know, he had no respect for this dude, man. He had more respect for Errol Spence. And, like, you know, right now we can say that on the aftermath. But if we said that before the fight, Errol Spence, Pacquiao, maybe we say Errol Spence will beat him. But I'm telling you, like, Pacquiao will turn up for that one. So, you know what I'm saying? It'll be a different fight, to be fair. I ain't throwing Pacquiao underneath the bus. I'm just saying, like, he didn't have no respect for Horn. So I'm saying,
I thought it was the opposite. I thought Horn had no respect for him.
Yeah, there's a little bit factor to it, but I'm gonna continue on with this line of questioning.
Sorry about that.
No problem, because it's good. It's a good talk.
I didn't mean to do that.
No problem, but it's a good talk. Okay, we did with Spence. Would you put him against Lamont Peterson?
No, I don't think so. Same thing, body shots.
No,
I
I don't think so either. Lamont's big for the division. I don't think so.
I'd put him in with Lamont.
All right. Would you put him against Kell Brook?
No.
Manny?
Yeah.
No.
Although maybe because Kell Brook, it depends on what happens with his eyes.
Right.
But he might be at a disadvantage there.
I'm thinking an uninjured Kell Brook. We don't know what's going to happen with his eyes right now, but no, I wouldn't put him in there with him. Kell Brook is strong.
Yeah.
He's real strong.
Okay, would you put him against a Keith Thurman?
Yes.
You know what? Yeah, I would.
Yes.
Yeah, I would. The only thing I see with that fight is that Keith constantly moves. Manny has a problem with people who move around in the ring.
Mm-hmm. And the one thing, unfortunately, when it comes to Manny is Manny's not known for being a body puncher.
No.
And we know now that that is the kryptonite that you can handle Keith Thurman with.
Oh, exactly. Yeah.
Now, in the last one, and this is probably the one that I think we all agreed, we all pretty much said yes. Would you put this Manny Pacquiao against Danny Garcia?
Yeah, I think I would.
Yeah, that I would. Yes.
I would.
Yep.
Lamar Peterson, he whoops Melo, he beats him. He beats all. Manny Pacquiao's hard to hit, you know. Like, I can't believe you. Look, I'm a man. I ain't throwing Manny off the bus, man. Manny beats Lamar Peterson, right? He's 5'6". They ain't much height difference, and he definitely beats Danny Garcia, man. Come on, man. Like, that's not Manny getting whoops.
No, EJ, Danny Garcia is the only one we all agreed on that said, like, okay, yeah, Manny could still whip his ass, but
listen, Manny's still dangerous, brethren. Manny is still dangerous, yeah. It's just that that Horn. I think that Horn, he might be better in the rematch, but with Horn, he had no respect for that dude, man. And you're right, Horn came in with no respect for him, but Manny definitely had no respect for him. Manny comes in there, no one knew who Horn was, man. Like, no one knew who the dude was. Now he knows, okay, he's dangerous. And Manny hurt him. Manny's like, all right, cool. Next fight, and Manny, Manny in rematches, he's pretty hot in rematches. You know what I'm saying? So look, I'm going with Manny. I'll go with Manny in the rematch. Though. I can't pick Horn, man. No, man, no.
Yeah, but he had a lot of things exposed his weaknesses exposed in this fight. So I'm sure that whoever fights him next, whether it be Horn or one of the other 147-pounders, I think that they have that blueprint on how to hurt Manny. So you never had that people go in there and they would go toe-to-toe with him no matter what. You can't go toe-to-toe with you can't go toe-to-toe with Manny.
the issue was going.
I couldn't. Daniel, unmute your mic. I hear some background from your end. Keep on. I'm sorry. Unmute your mic.
Okay, I'm sorry. The main angle that I always look at it is this, and this has been the question for Manny Pacquiao, just because of the way he rose through the ranks and weights, was always what would happen if a full-fledged welterweight would get in the ring with him.
Mm-hmm.
Because theoretically, just looking at his body, you could probably say, and he said it before. I think Freddie said it too. If he wants to, he could still make lightweight.
I think too much credence is given to his power, though, because the people that he was knocking out were smaller guys. He hasn't been knocking out the bigger guys. Like
they were also. Well, listen, another thing too that people don't talk about is that he fought those guys at catch weight. Those guys were drained. I don't know if you noticed when he fought Cotto. When he fought Cotto.
Joshua Clay was it? And no was Margarito.
Margarito may have been where he pushed himself too far because
they were big dudes, man. Man, he busted it the one eye and beat this up.
Yeah, but he didn't knock him out.
No,
but it's about Margarito. Margarito was weight drained.
Manny was faster and more dynamic then. But what I'm saying, she was that, even after those stuff was saying, he had Horn, like everyone saw him, had Horn out in the 9th round, man. So Manny coming with the wrong game plan. That's all I'm saying. Like we can throw him on the bus to say Manny compete against all them guys there. But right now he's on the tail end of his career, and he needs to retire. But Manny, if you said this 2 years ago,
let me say this because I see Gus and Joe and Bo has joined us, and I want their commentary. In terms of this prospect, no. This Manny a tail spin. Too much for him at this point. I hear you. I respect your opinion, EJ. But as far as I'm concerned, he don't want that. He don't want that kind of Tiger. Not at this stage of his career.
Uh-uh.
No. I'll go to you, Gus. It's been a while since you've been on the show. I want you and Bo to give your commentary on what you saw last week. You, Gus. Are you there, Gus?
Mm-mm.
I think he's fixing his mic.
Okay, I'll go to you, Bo. I'll go to you, Bo, then go back to you, Gus. Bo, unmute your mic, Bo.
Hey, what's going on, man?
What's going on? What's going on? We talked about it last night. I'm gonna give you the opportunity to talk about it now. You'll break down the Jeff Horn's win over Pacquiao.
My who? I didn't hear you.
Your thoughts on Jeff? We talked about this last night on Daniel's show. I'm gonna give you that, and now your thoughts on Jeff Horn's upset win over Manny Pacquiao.
Look, I'm listening to what everybody is saying, and everybody's going to have a different opinion. Here's the thing, man. We have to come to grips in the term that we would like to believe that the Manny Pacquiao we saw would be a different Manny Pacquiao if he faced anybody else, but we can only go off what we saw, which is we saw Father Time, who is undefeated, finally catch up to you. I'm not one particularly likes to make excuses for fighters. If you want to tell me you undertrained, then that's your fault. You shouldn't undertrain. If you want to tell me you didn't take a guy seriously again, that's your fault. You shouldn't have did it. I don't believe they didn't show. I don't believe they went into this fight not showing Jeff Horn no respect. I just think this was a situation where Pacquiao's age showed, his legs might not be there, and I think Jacob said it best. His power is overrated. Yeah, he busted up Margarito, but he has not knocked nobody out since 2009. So Jeff Horn fought like he was supposed to fight. He fought rough. He fought gritty. He fought grimy. I think I even said it started out like he was trying to out Pacquiao with the bouncing up and down and moving and jumping in and out. So I had Manny Pacquiao winning that fight, 115, 113. So that just tells me that there was 2 rounds that the refs, the judges saw differently. But the bottom line is, though, you can't take away from what we didn't see from Manny Pacquiao. We didn't see that same Manny Pacquiao. Like that 9th round was telling to me, man, old Manny Pacquiao would have turned it up a notch and got that boy out of here. He didn't have it. Then he comes out in the 10th and had nothing in the gas tank in the 10th as to where he can build on that momentum, and that showed heavily. So, good fight, unless, like I said, unless there's something that we hear about it, like Manny Pacquiao being injured, which is, like I said, again, is always the case. It's never his fault when he loses. It's some other reason. But even if you want to tell me he didn't take this guy seriously, there still should have been enough there of him to have beating Jeff Horn. You're telling me you're going to knock him out. You're telling me you're scared of it. Pacquiao might end his knockout streak. All these things Freddie Roach is saying, and then you want me to believe you didn't take the guy seriously? I don't believe that. I can't. I'm too intelligent to believe something that crazy. So I just believe it's a matter of Father Time, who is undefeated, finally caught up to him. And you know what? We'll know in the next fight whether any of us are right or not. But as it seems right now, Manny Pacquiao, as we see right now, is just a situation of a fighter who refuses to retire, who ego and everything else into play may have reached to that well one too many times, and there was no more water in there.
Mm-hmm.
I had the fight also 7-5 in Pacquiao's favor. I felt it could have went either way. I didn't agree with this third 17-11 of a stretch. I felt it was a combination of what Horn did, surprisingly, and to Bo's point, what Pacquiao didn't do. He didn't have that spark from moment one, from second one of the bout. And that 9th round, Bo is absolutely right. It was just so telling. Pacquiao, more prime Pacquiao would have taken him out. And 9th round, he would have had enough energy to fold and take him out in that 10th round. He had nothing. And a matter of fact, it can be argued that Jeff Brown won the last 3 rounds because Pacquiao didn't have anything in the tank. I want to open it up for everybody here to comment about the stuff that went down during the fight in terms of the way the show was presented, handled in terms of broadcasting and whatever. The comments, whether it's Pacquiao fans really being out of pocket with their commentary, the outrage of the in-studio folks, the back and forth between Pacquiao and Arum. I've never seen Arum talk this way about Arum. Open it up and give everybody who wants to chime in an opportunity, a moment, I should say, to speak on all that occurred during the fight, but the way, as well as all the talk and the discussion after the fight. And anybody wants to jump in, please do.
I mean, as far as the commentating, is that what you're talking about, Michael?
Well, there's the commentating, whereas the fact that Team Pacquiao is basically hollering conspiracy and they were set up.
Well, you know what? Bo
not outraged at all of the decision.
Bo gave me something new. I hadn't heard the excuse about he didn't take him seriously.
I heard he had said he had a cold or something like that, which I'm not going to buy that.
Well, I heard a cold, and then I just heard this thing from Bo, and then I heard something else. He heard something else, and it's like every time he loses, he's got an excuse. You know, it just, well, he hasn't lost that much, but it's just like when he lost to Mayweather, and now he's coming up with this excuse. It's just, come on now, take your loss like a man and let it go. I don't understand why he has to make an excuse. We all saw the fight with our own eyes. I don't understand that. There's something else that he said right after the fight. And maybe Freddie said it. Maybe Freddie said it. I'm not sure. But there was another excuse, and I just thought, this is ridiculous. You know, just take your loss.
Anyone has any response to the venom that Pacquiao and Team Pacquiao extension has shown towards anyone?
It's nothing new, like I said, from Manny's side. It's really nothing new. We've known that there's been tension between not so much Manny, but Manny's people and Bob for years now.
But the thing is, Daniel, what's new is how public it's become.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this is to me how it fosters into it, because and it all goes into the root cause why they've always had beef with Bob in a little bit. This to me all stems from the fact that they didn't get the Floyd fight when they wanted to, and there were so many years, and then his camp probably felt that they got Floyd when he didn't have enough to knock out Floyd anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, like I said, it's not Manny. Manny's not coming out and saying it. This is more Freddie Roach saying it. But apparently the end goal for Pacquiao is a rematch with Floyd. And yeah, I know. They need to let it, I know, like Bo said, they need to let it go. But
yeah, they do need to let it go. I mean, he had an opportunity to prove himself against Floyd, and he screwed that up. There were several excuses for that. So I didn't see any problems with him prior to the fight. At the weigh-in, because they did separate weigh-ins, I believe. I just didn't see it. And then all of a sudden there were the excuses. I don't know. You know, I mean, I think that I don't think that fight's going to happen with Floyd.
No, I don't think so either. And I kind of thank God for that now, because I was afraid that that circus was going to happen, but instead we're getting another circus. But the whole issue, though, is when it comes to Bob, I've always seen Bob, the way he maneuvered this fight, he was so insistent on Jeff Horn.
Mm-hmm.
And I already saw what it was. It wasn't like, oh, Jeff Horn has power. It's like, okay, this guy's a Duke events fighter. This is your avenue to get Joseph Parker under a top rank umbrella and get yourself on the Anthony Joshua sweepstakes.
Mm-hmm.
But now with Horn winning, you've made Duke Promotions' position much stronger, where they can pretty much say, you don't have to railroad us anymore, Bob. Remember, our guy beat your best fighter in the generation. That's stuck with you.
Do you think that Bob maybe with picking Jeff Horn didn't realize how bad Jeff Horn wanted that belt? And do you think that Bob purposely did this? And
No, I think
Pacquiao just wasn't in on it.
Second, Jacob?
Yeah, if I could take this one. This is what I think. I think Bob getting Pacquiao wasn't going to fight Crawford, and that's the passing of the torch that Arum wants. So Jeff Horn, he wins, he gets a belt. Now you can set up after Crawford fights Ndongo, potentially unifies that division. He can move up and then gain a belt and potentially force a Crawford Pacquiao fight. I mean, let's not forget, Bob's a businessman. He has taken a shower on a lot of previous fights. Him having his deals with HBO kind of falling through. Him having to do his own pay-per-views. The gate's not doing so well, so he might be struggling, and he needs a big marquee fight. And everybody wants to see, or at one point wanted to see that Crawford Pacquiao fight. I don't know about now, but so this could set up his next, potential star, which is Crawford.
And what if Crawford loses that fight?
I want to go.
You
I
know,
want
let
to
me.
get EJ and Gail into this.
No, Crawford loses
Into all the hubbub and the talk.
to Ndongo.
EJ and Gail into all this hubbub and the talk back and forth between Arum and Team Pacquiao publicly.
Well,
EJ
Pacquiao has made Bob Arum a lot of money over the years. And, Bob Arum's made Manny Pacquiao a lot of money over the years. And, when business relationships, longstanding business relationships, start to cool off, wear out, there's, always somebody who feels like they're the, boyfriend or girlfriend that got dumped, right? And Pacquiao's feeling like, I gave you the best years of my life, Bob, and, you're throwing me under the bus. But the comment made earlier about Bob Arum being a businessman is absolutely correct. And what everyone has to do is look past the players that were involved. Bob Arum, honest to God, especially at this point of Pacquiao's career, he doesn't care who the players are. He cares about the market. He wants that Australian promotional market. There's no powerhouse promoter in Australia on the level of Top Rank. Just like there was no promoter on the level of Top Rank in the Asian China market, which is why he moved into Macau. He doesn't care about Zhu Shiming. People will pay to see boxing no matter who the hell it is because there's such a void there. Same in Australia. He sees emerging markets. He's investing now to move in. They were in a 60,000 seat rugby stadium and got 50,000 people there. That's what Bob Arum's after, not the matchups, not the fight this last weekend. He wants to stick his foot inside that door and wedge it open and own it. He is a brilliant businessman. And coupled with that was this decision to put this fight on ESPN and generate more viewers and more ratings for a fight than we've seen in years. I had people asking me about this fight who have never mentioned boxing to me, ever, who were watching, who were talking about it, who thought to bring it up. And that is going to now promote the fights where he is going to make money, where he can, you know, this is an investment for him. He invested in this, and now everyone's going to want to see the Crawford fight. People who never, ever heard of Terrence Crawford, much less Julius Ndongo, and who never heard of Vasyl Lomachenko. And, you know, he is now praying to God that those guys both put on spectacular performances, and he starts generating excitement about the next generation of boxers. Manny Pacquiao, you know, is a Hall of Fame first ballot guy. Take away nothing from his career, but to Bob Arum, he's old news, he's old product on the shelves, he's last year's model, he's done.
Unmute your mic, EJ. I want your perspective on all of this.
Oh, you know,
from a UK vantage point, you heavily in the media in the UK boxing market. Your reaction to all this stuff and the back and forth between Pacquiao and Arum and whatnot. Your thoughts on this?
Yeah, like I just heard from Frank Warren yesterday, one of our promoters over here. He said, like, you know, he thinks Pacquiao was done and he felt Horn won. And you know that Australian market over there. Let me tell you something. If Bob Arum sends some of his fans over, they're gonna come back with the L plate as well. I'll tell you that, mate, because that altitude out there is rough. That outback air in Australia, they ain't friendly, you know. That's why, like, boxers, a lot of boxers go in Australia. They've been, I mean, Azuma Nelson went over there and won. But, like, to be frank, it's gritty out there, man. It's gritty and grimy in Australia. And more time in Australia, they want to break into that American market to get that money. I understand Bob, he might put his tent up there. But when he comes back, one of them kangaroos might stamp on it. You know what I mean? Because I'll tell you, like, Australia, that's a rugby town, bro. That's rugby, man. Like Bob, and how did Macau do as well? Like, ain't no one going back over there either. Like, Bob is looking around from probably new territories and putting Manny Pacquiao there. But bottom line is that, you know, that altitude out there is just rough. Yeah, Australia's far. I don't know how it is from America, but bro, over here we call it down under. It's the other side of the world, man. Out there is hard. And to be fair, if I was Manny Pacquiao, I'd try to bring that fight back to the States. And branching out and trying to get some of the Australian fighters are known. Jeff Fennick and Jeff Harden, they're known for their gritty, tough guys. But you know, end of the day, yeah, like you put them in there again. I'll put him against Jeff Horton, against Kell Brook and some other guys. And we like it over there. We call it Ashes, the cricket over there. You know, Australia big in cricket, they're big in basketball and the thing. But and when it comes to boxing, boy, they have a couple of good guys over there, and they do sell the stadiums. I think Horn would probably want to defend his belt over there. But in terms of like obviously not as like Vegas or whatever, the place for people to go, it's hard, man. It's not easy. And it was good for ESPN to get that fight over there. But remember again, Jeff Horn, even though he's got the belt, Manny Pacquiao's still the marquee fighter. End of the day, most people paid in not to see Jeff Horn, want to see Pacquiao whoop some ass. So that's what people paid in. And over in the UK, most people are saying like Manny Pacquiao is done, or most people say Manny Pacquiao got robbed. More or less what you're saying over in the States. So it's kind of the same view. My take is it is as always, like I said, end of the day, like, you know, you're prepared to win, and then that's what you go into training. And I can understand, like, I'm making excuses for Manny probably that I feel like maybe underestimating, but didn't everyone think that? Like, didn't they know that? Why did Bob Arum insist that Manny should fight over there? But like Gail said, they want to put him in different areas, you know, put him in Macau. But like I said, it was like a world tour, like Sugar Ray Robertson back in the days. He's going around different territories, fighting different places. But they did no way did they expect him to lose like Ray Robertson losing over here to Randall Turpin. It's the same thing. So they have to rematch. But the rematch, if the rematch needs to be probably in the States. So, but Australia, I'll be honest with you, that's not the sort of place where you want to start build boxing in there. That is gritty. I ain't got his gritty and grimy over that. I'm telling you, like you said, it was in a rugby stadium, man. It is hard, but we're seeing it. We see how it goes. They got mosquitoes out there. They got wombats. Oh shit, man. Australia's hard, man. So we see how it goes, though. We see how it goes. If they can start bringing some fighters come through from Australia, because they haven't got that many. I mean, thing is, anything even New Zealand. Ain't Joseph Parker from New Zealand? That's why he's not Australian. He's from New Zealand. So is he from Australia? I swear down, I swear he's from New Zealand. And you got Lucas Brown. They ain't got no homegrown fighters. I guess Jeff Horn doing that thing is probably good for Australia promotion and that. But in terms of any fighters coming through, they ain't really got none. And like I said, we got some UK fighters already. Eddie Hearn's already thinking. We've got Frank Warren said Bradley Skeet, and we've got Sam Edgerton from Birmingham. And they like their chances against him. I think, in fact, one of them is nearly mandatory to be fighting for Jeff Horn's belt. And Eddie Hearn going to be on that film trying to bring that fight over here in the UK. So Jeff Horn's got a lot of good options for him to continue to fight. But in terms of Bob Arum putting his 10 out his flag over there in Australia, good luck to him. Good day, mate. It's just like I said, it's over there. Australia is grimy. It's proper hard for boxing, because like I said, Jeff Fennick was there and he had a couple of defenses. So did Costa Zoo. But when they went to make that big money, it wasn't Australia they did. It was when they came to the States. So we'll see how it goes.
During your commentary, you mentioned how it was good for ESPN to be out there to provide coverage. Right now, open up your mic, Bo, because I don't know what was worse. The commentary of one Mr. Smith and how he acted throughout the broadcast, before, during, and after. The back and forth exchange between him and the guy you now call Timothy tonight. Talk about what made Mr. Sadley. What disgusted you so much about Mr. Sadley and how he acted during the broadcast?
The fact that he let Stephen A. Smith punk him. That's what the fact that Stephen A. Smith was saying, Mr. Five-Time, Mr. Five-Time. He should be like, yeah, so why don't you shut up and listen to what I got to say? The fact that he let Stephen A. Smith punk him, the fact that he sat there next to his former trainer, Teddy Atlas, and couldn't and was refusing to actually let Teddy know blankly, listen, I see what you're saying, Teddy, but if you look at what I'm looking at, you off the mark here. And the fact that you have been relegated to commentating and giving good, kind words to a dude that kicked your ass, not once, but twice. So yeah, that's what makes it pathetic. Timothy Bradley, and I take nothing away from what he did at 140, but when he went to 147, he beat Manny Pacquiao. He let all that stuff get to him when they was threatening him and all that. And I don't know, man, he lost that muster that he once had that made him who he was. But there's no way, being a fighter, he should have let Stephen A. Smith go that much with him back and forth. He kept repeating himself. No, I mean, listen, I thought Manny Pacquiao win, but we can't ignore it. He should have been like, look, man, let me tell you something, dog. I've been in the ring, so I know what to look for that you don't know what to look for. Why? Because you only look for one thing, the name's on the fucking card. That's all you look for. You don't look for strategy. You don't look for technique. You don't look for how a person look when they walking back. You don't look for none of that. You just look for a name on the fucking card, which is obvious because you call Funaka and Bailey a bunch of no-names. So, yeah, the fact that he let him do that, the fact that you've been relegated to playing nicey with a dude that whooped your ass twice, and the fact that you ain't been in the ring since getting your ass whooped, and the fact that you yourself is not trying to fight the Thurmans or the Porters or the Bertos or the Spencers. You ain't even trying to do that. You sitting back, letting them tell you what to do. And so yeah, all of that. I'm so fucking disgusted with this motherfucker. He gets on my. I couldn't talk nice to you. You kicked my ass. I'm sorry. If I at least got to get back in that ring with you one more time, just like Marquez, I'll fight you 5 times just to get that one win. Then we cool. Outside of that, I'm not talking nice to you. And if I know boxing, ain't no way in hell you gonna sit there and I know the only thing you know is a name on the card, and you got the nerve to try to argue with me, and you got on national TV, you gonna punk me on national? No, fuck out of here. I will come to this thing and beat your black ass. So no, man, it was. I mean, Timothy, for what he's done for boxing, he shouldn't have been subjected to that, and that's the thing that bothers me. And the fact that he wasn't forceful about it. He ain't got to be disrespectful, but it should have been more forceful to him, because you're right. You are a 5-time champion. You have beat Manny Pacquiao before, so you shouldn't let a dude that has never covered boxing on his show unless it is a main fight like Pacquiao or like, matter of fact, this is the same Stephen A. Smith that Floyd Mayweather said, fuck Stephen A. Smith. And then Smith later went to his goddamn house and interviewed him. So get the hell out of here, man. Hell no. Hell no.
And then in terms of Bradley, it didn't help that he was talking about them Japans.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God.
Motherfucker thought he was in. What did he say?
Australia, Argentina.
Argentina.
Oh, my goodness.
It didn't help that during the last round he was talking about, and remember they're fighting in Argentina, Australia. Look, in terms of that exchange,
I told you.
I told you, EJ. Give me room.
No, I wasn't trying to interrupt you, bro. Go ahead.
Give me room.
Ruben,
It's like,
oh man,
he kowtowed. He backed down. Get punked. Stephen A., who was loud.
Mm-hmm.
He talks boxing.
Mm-hmm.
Like Bradley heard Stephen A. get loud. Big words that Stephen A. picked out of it, and he must have concluded that Stephen A. sounds halfway intelligent. It's like, I don't want none of this. Bo, you're absolutely right. Roy Jones wouldn't have put up with that mess.
I was just gonna say that.
Andre Ward,
just gonna say that.
I'm not a greatest fan of Paulie Malignaggi and his politics outside the ring, but Paulie Malignaggi wouldn't have put up with that mess.
No, he wouldn't have. No.
And any other boxer wouldn't put up with that mess. In terms of Sherman Hemsley looking dude, Mr. Smith, a poser. And I'm telling you this right now, and I hope he hears it. You are a poser. What you are is seems to be a serious hardcore fan, but performance during this Pacquiao Horn fight, commentary during the Pacquiao Jesse Vargas fight, attitude. And yes, I'm using those big words to you, those big words to everyone else to get over in a debate. Typical type of dude of a main. Now there are good mainstream casuals. I'm not saying there's not. Have a right, but what you do not have the right to do is sit there and claim that you're such a serious boxing fan and not do your due diligence in terms of preparation for that fight. Mm-hmm. How in blue hell are you gonna sit there and disrespect Ali Funeka and especially Randall Bailey in the way you did? Basically defining bums. 5-6 years ago, Randall Bailey, who was a world champion, fought on HBO, Showtime, and yes, ESPN. Off in that way, kick rocks, bruh. Smith, and I'm going outside of boxing here, who loves, and I'm saying this, and I'm getting personal here, and I'm saying this as a brother, as a black person, who loves to sit there and point his finger at the black community all the time, throwing down the respectability politics card at our community, card in the game of spades, talking about accountability and responsibility and being on your P's and Q's, and black folks are not doing this and black folks are not doing that. I mean, you often charge the black community of what they're not doing. You didn't do when you in terms of your preparation for this fight. So not only are you not a boxing fan, not a serious boxing fan, in that context, you're a hypocrite. Let's put it out there. The main gig was because of Aram. It was a deal between Aram and ESPN to place you at that gig. You didn't earn it. When folks come at you, you will sit back and essentially say that if you want to get on the spot with me, if you really want to debate, if you really want this job, if you really want this spot, put 20 years in the books, put 20 years in the banks, and I'll think about you. I'll think about having you coming on my show to debate me. Oh, you want to take that stance with others when they come at you? Where is the work that you put in to be put in the position that you're in right now talking boxing? It's not. So no, I've lost. I've been sitting back. I've been sitting back. I've been letting this dude pass. He's been being froggy. He's been out of pocket for a long time in boxing, and in other enough is enough. It's time to call this fool out.
Yeah.
He loves to throw at everybody else, directed towards him. It's nonsense. BS. I'm trying to do. I'm not the cuss right now. That's how outraged I am. Vaughn, please do. I'm done with this fool.
like he's dead. Stephen A. Smith, man, is Stephen. Clap. Stephen A. Smith is Stephen A. Smith, man. Like, that's what he does, man. He caused controversy, caused all the trouble and stuff like that. Like, I think Tim Bradley had sunstroke. I try to tell you, the Australian weather out there, he called it Australia, Argentina. And Teddy, all of them over there lost the plot. ESPN, but like I said, it caused all the attention, and and people were talking about that the crew wasn't that good. Joe Tessitore, he does what he does. Teddy Atlas, just comment after the fight. That's out of order. I think it was a good fight and everything. Congratulations, but I think you lost. It's like, man, that's just rude, man. Like that's rude, man. Like, and after that, it's like, come on, man. Yeah, like,
you know what, bro?
That,
since you said, well, Stephen A was like, well, I know. Smith was like, well, you may know, you're a 5-time champion. You know more than me. Then in the next breath, he would turn around and talk to Bradley in a way as if he knew more than Bradley and disrespect him. Well, you know what Bradley should have said? Look here, bruh. Because you say I know more than you, because I'm a 5-time champ, the hell back and listen to what I say. Because exactly I know more than you. Because I have more experience in my little finger than you have in your whole body when it comes to this boxing thing. Stephen A, in short, Stephen A is not about that life.
Well,
he doesn't do what you do, EJ. He doesn't do what you do, Gail. He doesn't do what you do, Daniel. He doesn't cover and sit there and really watch and analyze and break down fights like you do, Gus.
But Stephen A has a trump card, a very, very important part in the use of that word, the T word. But Stephen A. Smith has something none of us do. None of us. 3 million Twitter followers. That's why he got on there. That's why ESPN used him. He's a big human megaphone. Does he know anything? No. Do they care? No, they don't care. He's a personality, and he's not an analyst. Those of us who know what in the hell we're talking about, grinding out a living, who know who's on somebody's record and who know to do their research if they don't, we don't have a fraction of that sort of attention. And ESPN is about, remember what the E in ESPN stands for, entertainment. So as much as we dislike it, there was purpose to it. Now, as far as Bradley goes, my opinion of Bradley's performance, I'm not going to be that hard on him. And pardon my boxing crew sounding off. Bradley is there at a new job. We don't know whether Bradley is intending to continue boxing or become a commentator. Maybe he's looking to shift careers. When you want an opportunity for a full-time gig, are you going to piss off the boss and get in his face? No matter how much of a dick you think the boss is, and I'm putting Stephen A. Smith in that category, are not going to piss him off no matter how stupid he is. We've all worked for somebody that we just had to stifle the comments and the eye rolls, and we could dress the guy down. But you know what? If we want that signature on the paycheck, we go along to get along. And I think Bradley was frankly in that position.
Yep.
I'm not buying that, Gail, with all due respect.
I agree. No, I agree with that. I would agree with that. I didn't finish my point out. What one minute, Michael. I didn't finish my point. Like, you know, everyone jumped in. All right. So I agree with Grell 100%. And Tim Bradley's never been that type of person. He's not a confrontational type of guy anyway. You know, in the ring, he's like that. And I hear what Bo's saying. You know, what he should have said, you know, in terms of what was going on, his experience. But the thing is, Stephen A. Smith has a big mouth, yeah? And
yeah, that's what I was going to say. He has a really big mouth. Yeah.
He and Bradley didn't want to come up. If Bradley was to turn up, it looked like Bradley didn't want to come across ignorant on TV, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even though he knows, and we know he has knowledge, he didn't. Even Teddy Atlas was amped. And he didn't want to match his energy. So he's all right, you know, all right, coach. Out of respect, I'm just gonna call. You know what I'm saying? And he was just there trying to add his little 2 cents. And he wasn't trying to get in it. I hear what Bo's saying, but Tim Bradley ain't never. I talked to Tim Bradley after the Manny Pacquiao, the second fight, the loss. And he's just not that type of guy. He's a very just a very even kill guy. He's not that type of guy to get in them sort of confrontational. He used to be when he was younger, right? And that's what boxing saved him. And he does that in the ring. But out the ring, he ain't like that. And in that situation, he was like, okay. And even like, you know, like you said, you guys pointed out he made a mistake. But like Girl said, he's not trying to piss no one off. Whether he's gonna do it, he's done a couple of commentating gigs before, and it's like, you know, I'm just gonna say my piece. And a lot of fighters, Roy Jones commentated on a lot of guys who beat him as well. You know, fighters, when they've shared the ring with each other, they have mutual respect after the fight. It's over and done with. You know, maybe they want to beat a guy after, but you know, he went against him the third time and he lost. There's nothing he can do. He lost and he accepted it and he moved on and he can commentate on it. Now, like I said, you know, that's fight boxing. There's a lot of respect after you shared the ring with someone and you've hit them and they've hit you. You know, you share something together that only them two can understand. And he respects Manny Pacquiao, and Manny Pacquiao probably respects him. So I hear what Bo's saying, but on a professional level, Tim Bradley did, and I don't think he was trying to get out of pocket. He wasn't trying to mix Teddy Atlas's energy or Stephen A. Smith's crazy energy. Just let them do whatever. And like you said, the commentary made a lot of mistakes, but people didn't care about it. Like Girl said, it got a lot of views. And, you know, everyone's talking about it. I mean, it was this last weekend. And these people were still talking about it. The disarray in the camp, Stephen A. Smith, Teddy Atlas disrespecting Horn's family getting disrespected on Twitter, his wife. You know, it's ongoing, like this Manny thing, Manny this, Manny that. So you know, end of the day, a lot of things have come out of it. But the bottom line is that, you know, is it good for boxing? It's entertainment. Everyone watched it, and in the bottom line, they shouldn't have went down there. Everyone know they shouldn't have went down to bloody Australia. So they learned their lesson. That's what I have to say. I'm done. That's my piece on.
Hold on, wait a minute.
Go ahead.
Hold on, wait a minute.
I'm gonna give you the opportunity to respond to Bo.
Okay, no. This is what I want to say about.
Give me an opportunity.
See, this is what I want to say about them going to Australia. This and Gail said it best. Bob Arum is a businessman. Manny Pacquiao got $10 million to go to Australia. He was not going to get $10 million fighting any of the guys that we named earlier. He wasn't going to get $10 million fighting Thurman, Spence, Garcia, Porter. He wasn't going to get $10 million fighting none of them. The only one that probably would have got close to would have probably been Brooks because it's UK. But if you look at it like this, Jeff Horn is the best thing that happened for Australian boxing since Costa Zoo. He is pretty much a folk hero because he fought very well. He showed pride. He won the fight, whether we agree or disagree. He won the fight. He beat Manny Pacquiao. Then he later calls out Floyd Mayweather. People loved it. They ate it up. So, like, now you have a market in Australia that you can appeal to now. Even if, let's say, Manny Pacquiao retires, okay, you have Lucas Matisse, who's the number one, who's ranked number one. You can have Lucas Matisse come out here and fight and make money right there in Australia with Jeff Horn. Him and Manny Pacquiao, they would get 51,000 people to watch them fight. You wouldn't have got 51,000 people to watch Manny Pacquiao fight nobody here in America. So it was a great, smart business move. Now, as far as them going out there, this is what I'm gonna say. Manny should have known something was up, not only when we went out to Australia, but then there was a rematch clause. You should have knew something was up at that point right then.
I just wanted to give you the floor to respond to what Gail and EJ was saying about Brad. Basically, didn't clap back at Stephen A. Bo.
Oh, well, see, here's the thing. I remember Timothy Bradley at 140. And Timothy Bradley at 140 would clap back. Matter of fact, he did clap back. I remember him and Devin Alexander was going at it. And I remember that there was this video, and he had this term, and excuse my language, it was called "Don't Be Up." And I'm just saying the letter B. And he said him and his dad had this term, you know, "Don't be up." Okay, so he would clap back. The problem is Timothy Bradley really took that to heart. He's one of those guys that he wants everybody to like him. And he really took it to heart when he beat Manny. He got them death threats and everything like that. And he really took that to heart so much so I believe he let that change who he was, because in the first Bradley Pacquiao fight, he was like, fuck Manny. I'm here to fight, man. Fuck Manny. I'm here to fight him. And now he's the total opposite. So he might not have wanted to go off on national TV. And Gail, I will agree with you on that. But at some point, when a guy who don't know boxing is disrespecting you, you have to put them in their place
to
a
that level.
Yeah,
to
a
that
certain
level.
degree, he should have just put him in his place. I felt.
You know, I want to add on to that. Bo is absolutely right, and it's a point I'm really surprised nobody has jumped on, and you touched on it, Bo. When Bradley beat Pacquiao, here he was exulting in the win, and the world smacked him around good. You don't deserve it. It's a joke. You didn't win the fight. And he admits now how much it messed with him. He didn't even know if he was going to return to boxing. He was extremely depressed. It took him a long, long time to recover from that. And he is a very different personality. And I would love to have had somebody on that broadcast, once they were done with all the post-fight interviews, say to him, okay, Tim, you just went through this. You had a shock the world moment against Pacquiao. And it didn't really go the way you thought. It messed with you. What does Jeff Horn now need to watch out for? Is Jeff Horn going to experience the same kind of dark days you did after you realized the world thinks you didn't deserve that win? How is he going to handle that? How can he handle that better than you? What did you learn from that? I am dying to get that man to answer those questions, because he's got some real insight here that all of us, plus Horn, can benefit from. But Bo is right on target. The pre-Pacquiao Bradley, pre-winning against Pacquiao Bradley, is a very different guy than he is today. And I have to go back again to the fact that I think he is thinking about his own career transition from boxing, and he wants to get along nice with everyone at ESPN. And you know what? Teddy is Teddy. You know what? Nobody can fight fire with fire where Teddy Atlas is concerned. We all know what we're getting. We all know what he's like. We've all seen him have his blow-ups and his meltdowns, and you got to accept that as part of Teddy's charm, so to speak. But he is not going to mess with the big name at the network. You know, you just don't mess with a power player like that. And Roy Jones, yeah, it's a different animal. I mean, nobody's going to shut down Roy, and nobody's going to shut down Paulie. But, you know, Tim is a different story.
I hear you. There's a way to do it, because he's respected to such a degree. It's such a damn degree. And not all that side of Timothy Bradley is gone. Not just completely gone down the tubes. Some of it's still there. And it was like I was listening, it's like, come on, man. And you can tell it was in him. He was wanting to say something. Just something. Just to let back this. I don't care if he is in the position that he is. You just can't let someone just bully you like that.
Yeah.
Bullying him. Who was Stephen A. Smith to bully someone like that?
That's how he is, man. That's how he is, man. Big 6 foot. What is he? 6'7" guy. It's a bully, man.
Man, look, he's only 6'1".
Is it?
Yeah.
6 foot, but Bradley's
Yeah,
like
he's only 6'1".
Bradley's like what?
Yeah.
5'6". I mean, that's a big. He's a bully, like. Yeah, and you know what?
He's probably done hit and hurt 6'1" guys in the gym. Come on.
Yeah, but Stephen A. Smith carries the big social media stick. You got to remember that.
Yeah.
And this is the Stephen A. Smith who still got punked down by old girl on that network.
Oh, you talking about Michelle Beadle? Talking about Beadle, yeah?
Yeah, Beetle.
About Beadle.
Michelle Beadle.
Yeah, and where is she right now? Where is she?
She working for the NBA.
She's still at ESPN. She does NBA
Yeah,
coverage.
but you know what? She doesn't touch a lot of the big marquee stuff anymore. She's definitely been put on the B team. She absolutely has, and she had her little tiny brush with HBO with the fight game, and boom, that blew up. She is no longer on
I'm just saying,
the talk show that they do midday. She's gone. Yeah. Well,
Jalen Rose pumped him down.
I think she was. I think she was taught a lesson.
I'm just saying, so did Jalen Rose. So I'm just saying, I understand your argument, but it was just to such an extent. I was like,
man, I don't know why you guys are expecting commentary to.
He let him roll him over.
Nah, man. The commentary is just commentary. I turn the volume down. To be fair, I ain't looking for nothing from Tim Bradley to get my. I tune in Ted when you see.
But the problem is,
you tune in to see Teddy Atlas, right? Teddy Atlas. That's what ESPN and Joe Tessitore. Anyone else is a side piece on that show. That's their show. Teddy Atlas runs that thing. That's how it's always gonna be. Stephen A. Smith is coming because like Max Kellerman trying to get in boxing, ESPN, and that's what it is. And you're gonna see more of Stephen A. Smith. Get used to it. You're gonna see more of Teddy Atlas. Damn, they need to bring a commissioner. That's how it gonna be. So that's it. Tim Bradley is not gonna go fighting against none of them dudes. That's not who he is. And if you do, you end up go against him because look what happened to Thingy. What's that guy? Who's that guy arguing with? The one on what's his name again? The one on Showtime. What's the guy arguing with Stephen A. Smith? They don't get along.
You're talking about Skip Bayless. He left for more money.
Nah, not Skip Bayless. I'm not talking about Skip Bayless. I'm talking about the other guy, the one Floyd Mayweather used to argue with. What's his name again?
Oh, Larry. You mean Larry Merchant, who he had a big blow up with?
No, not Larry Merchant. The guy on Showtime right now. He's the one who does he used to be on ESPN. He was arguing with Floyd. They used to always argue backwards and forwards. They had a little shit. He's
thinking about Brian Kenny, who's no longer with Showtime.
Yeah, man.
Right. Yeah, Brian Kenny, I think, is working for CBS Sportsnet at this point.
Yeah. If you argue with Teddy, you got over there.
No, he does more than that. He has a major gig talking baseball on MLB, so he's doing fine.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, if you argue with Teddy too much, and disapprove him, you end up over there. Teddy's the power in that thing. Tim Bradley, and remember that's still his coach. And Stephen A. Smith is what it is. I hear what both saying about that, but I wasn't looking for my pound of flesh of that. I was looking in the ring, right? And Tim Bradley, shit.
And before we're too hard on Tim Bradley, let's think back, all of us, about the rotating cast of color commentators that PBC uses on Bounce and Fox Sports 1, and they put all their stable of active fighters in the ring, and along with Brian Custer, and that poor man should be paid twice his salary the way he nurses some of those guys along. I mean, they all have varying degrees of beginner skill or none. And some of them, it's just plain painful. They are terrible. If you get halfway
Antonio need to find a new job.
My God. I mean, the day they use, and this is not going to go where you think it is. When I first heard that on one of the fights, Abner Mares was going to do the commentary, I thought, oh my Lord, oh man, this is going to suck. He turned out to be pretty damn good. But most of them were terrible.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? I love Badu Jack as a fighter. He is horrible as a color commentator.
Deontay Wilder.
2 out of 10.
Deontay Wilder.
Wilder's good. Wilder's good.
Yeah.
No, Wilder's horrible. I can't understand a goddamn word out of his mouth. He's horrible. No, EJ, I'm not going with that because you would just like it. He's horrible. He's horrible. He's fucking horrible. He doesn't understand the word out of his mouth. He's horrible.
Let's
Open the UK. Open
he's
the UK.
who's
Like,
more.
wait a minute, folks.
put some
Wait a minute,
respect.
folks. Wait a
Hey,
minute.
people,
Wait,
put some
Gus has been.
respect.
Wait a minute, EJ. Gus has been sitting back in the cut for a long time. His mic has been muted. I want him to. I want give him the opportunity to comment on the fight and all the stuff that's been happened that happened afterwards and even during the fight. Unmute your mic, Gus. If you're around, Gus, unmute your mic.
We hear you, man. We hear you.
Yeah, we hear you. You're breaking down the transpired during the broadcast and afterwards.
Thank God, man. What the fuck were you lot talking about for the last 20 minutes?
It's American media. We'll put it that way. It's American media.
We'll wait to talk, man. We'll wait to introduce yourself. Nice. Real. So, go ahead, Gus. Come on, man. Get it out, man. Get it out your system, dog.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
You're around, Gus.
You just had him. He said, "What the
Yes,
fuck?"
yes. Sorry, Mike. I've been having problems with Google pretty much all week, not responding to a VPN connection either. The fight, Mike. What can I say? You know, let it be a lesson to 99% of not only the media, the public, the so-called boxing experts, the analysts, the podcasters, who were all vociferous in not only dismissing the fight, but they didn't even pay any attention to a fighter who may be from a jurisdiction that is not synonymous with boxing, but that doesn't necessarily mean that he is no good.
That's right.
And thus, the result was not a surprise to me. I had predicted Jeff Horn to win the fight. I'd put money down on Jeff Horn winning on points. He was magnificent in the fight. One cannot underestimate the pressure that was levied upon him. You know, he's not fought in front of, you know, a crowd of that sort of magnitude, certainly in Queensland, where he resides. You can see he's an extremely shy individual, so he was very nervous. But that didn't influence his performance or his temperament. He was sensational from the outset. He calibrated a different strategy from what I've seen in this fight. He didn't utilize his jab as much, but he was very, very good in not only his hand speed, but his foot speed was out of this world. Bobbing and weaving side to side at long distance, long range, circling with his upper body movement. But then rather than utilize a jab, he would just accelerate, jump that distance from long to inside the pocket, you know, unload, and he would vary his attacks with his power punches. Straight away from the outside, he would come with the overhand right. Other times, he would follow in with a you know, a left up top, left to the body. So he was actually quite creative, and he weren't walking in straight lines. I thought his foot movement was brilliant, and his hand speed at times, certainly inside the pocket, was very, very good. He also exemplified a lot of a lot of old man tactics as well. At times I saw him holding Manny Pacquiao's head down with his right, hitting him with the left, but he would shift around so he'd try and be on the blind side of the referee. But I didn't feel his tactics were dirty. Clashes are inevitable whenever you've got a height discrepancy, and that coupled with the southpaw and orthodox fighter. It happens. In fact, he was the recipient of the first cut due to a Manny Pacquiao headbutt. So it happens. You know, Pacquiao is also historically, he tends to fly in with his head as well. That was unfortunate. I was surprised Manny opted for a timeout to allow the referee to look at him. He was very, very uncomfortable throughout the fight. Jeff didn't let him settle, didn't. But I guess that the most significant factor I can sort of deduce from this fight, Mike, is not a degradation in Manny Pacquiao. I think the transformation has been more psychological. I think the fight which has really hit hard for Manny Pacquiao was definitely that defeat to the knockout defeat to Marquez. I really believe that as part of his soul searching, he sat down and he said to himself, look, how could I be so reckless to be knocked out when I was, perhaps on the verge of knocking him out? And I think he said to himself, that's never going to happen again. And after that fight, Mike, he has become a counterpuncher. And I think that was to his detriment in this fight. Yes, it can certainly have an impact when you're fighting smaller fighters who don't quite have the movement that Jeff Horn had. But when you're fighting up against a good welterweight who is very explosive and athletic as well, and can certainly absorb the punches because he's physically so much bigger, but then he also carries the punches, and he doesn't operate floating around on the edge of the pocket. He'll explode. So he didn't give Manny Pacquiao any opportunity because he was just trying to land that left cross because Horn was almost coming diagonally to try and aim for his body. So Manny was just didn't have the speed or the timing to counter successfully often enough. I felt Pacquiao may have won the 2nd, 8th, 9th, and the 10th. That is all I can give him. I felt Jeff was a comfortable victor and a deserved victor, and I'm delighted for him.
Your reaction to how Pacquiao and his team, their public disgust at Bob Arum, in the post fight, in the aftermath, hollering conspiracy on one hand, Arum's, if you will, for lack of a better word, didn't seem visibly upset at all with the decision. But
Mike, I've not seen any reaction. I didn't see that particular broadcast. I was watching a Daniel Green from Australia and the Colonel Bob Sheridan. That was the production I was watching. I didn't see any post fights, and I haven't heard any comments, so I can't really comment on that.
Okay, Daniel asked the question comparing Pacquiao night to the other top welterweights, the Spence, Garcia's, the Kell Brook that we saw in the ring against Spence. A little bit moving forward, how would you compare him based on what you saw Saturday night, to the other top welterweights, to the Spence, to the Keith Thurmans, to the Danny Garcias, the Lamont Petersons, that lot?
A dream matchup for me would be the two Olympians who I had the pleasure of sort of seeing in London. I think Jeff Horn and Errol Spence. That's the best style matchup for me as well. Physical, imposing fighters with skill. I think Furman is a difficult fighter. We sort of underestimate, his size. He operated at 164 in the amateurs, so he's naturally the biggest out of all of them. Very, very, very good fighter. Explosive in and out. Stylistically, the matchups for me, Mike, is definitely Jeff Horn and Sean Porter would be a magnificent fight, and I think Jeff Horn and Errol Spence would be a fight because both of them would be right there in the pocket fighting. There would be no safety first, too much exaggerated lateral movements, and I think Jeff has got a chin as well. He took a lot of Pacquiao, left hands. He had him pretty well. I think he's got the punch. He's got the stamina as well. I would favor him over Lamont. I would favor him over Keith, probably. Kelbrook, I'm unsure about. I'm not sure whether he's even going to operate at 147 pounds. I really don't know. But I think Jeff would be extremely competitive, Mike, in all of those fights. Difficult to predict, an outcome, but I think he would definitely.
My concern against your dream matchup with against Spence is that in the second half of that fight, Horn, he straightened up. The fatigue started to set in. He stood straight up, and he didn't as much. There's issues with conditioning there. When you can't do that, like Spence, if he's going to be right there for Spence, if he stands straight up, loosens against someone like a Spence in the last third of the fight, Spence would make him pay.
But but Mike, how did you score the last 3 rounds?
Oh, he won. Horn won the last 3 rounds.
Then there isn't an issue with his conditioning.
Was dead after the 9th round.
Mm-hmm.
No, yes, it is. Dead after he went all out for the 9th.
Right.
As a matter of fact, what Pacquiao didn't do.
And that's what
Pacquiao
we mean.
was just dead.
That's what we mean about the age. That's why I say the Manny Pacquiao of 2009, that wouldn't have happened to him. He probably would have finished Horn.
No, I basically
Horn
refer
was
to I think the transformation is more psychological as opposed to physical. I think it's got nothing to do with physical.
Oh no, I can agree there. Like once Manny found religion, yeah, his mindset did change. Like he is not as aggressive as he used to be. That's very true. That, and like I said, and the way the Marcus fight ended contributed to that. But at the end of the day, though, he is 38 years old. He has fought over 60 fights. And remember, he's gone through weight classes unlike in a way that we have not seen before. To go from having to put on weights in your pockets to make weight to junior middleweight, that's a drastic jump. And especially the way in the time that he did it. That does drain your body, unfortunately, from time to time, and not to mention his other activities, his government. He owns a basketball team, I think, in the Philippines, and plays with them and coaches them. So all that activity ultimately catches up with you. That's why,
we've talked. Go ahead, Daniel.
That's right. That's to me, Gus. That's why I saw that Manny's legs weren't as there as they normally were. Like even after the Jesse Vargas fight, they just weren't there the way they normally are. And I'm thinking, okay, we're starting to see it. Like the legs are usually the first thing to go.
We've talked a long time about this fight and everything that transpired before, during, and after. I want to move on quickly here. I forgot who it was. Mentioned Easter Jr., his fight over Shafikov. I'm gonna give anybody who wants to chime in on that fight, please do. I think the 2 120, 108 scorecards were ridiculous. I had the fight even when I watched it twice since, and now that I've watched it twice, I'm leaning towards Shafikov winning that fight.
Thank you.
Anybody agree? Anybody disagree?
I agree. I'm going to tell you, I did some homework on Shafikov before this fight. And one of the things, and I think it was on your show, I was talking about how he comes forward. And he has power. He definitely has power, and I like the way that he didn't ease up on Robert Easter. But you know what? Robert Easter didn't move his head in that fight at all. That's one of the things I noticed, and he didn't really utilize the ring like I've seen him do in the past. Now I tell you one thing, Robert was getting hit. He was getting cracked. And I mean, all of them were headshots mostly, but also Denis Shafikov went to the body, and Robert Easter did too. But Robert Easter had a tendency, and I understand, to pick his shots and take his time, but those first few rounds, he was getting hit pretty good, especially when he was up on the ropes. I don't know. I was amazed at his performance. I thought he would do better, Robert Easter. But you know, at the same time, I mean, I thought Shafikov won the fight, or could have won the fight. But I'm sorry, I just couldn't give all those rounds to Easter. You know, some people had Easter way up, but I don't know. I just thought he could have fought better. I don't know.
I thought Easter
Go on
won
to
the
you, Gus, and then you can follow up both. Go ahead, quickly, AJ, quickly.
EJ has to be quickly, you know. Yeah, I thought Easter won the fight. I just thought the scorecards were too crazy, man. I thought, you know, they were too wide, man. I thought, like, way too wide, you know, and that's what happens when you fight in Cincinnati, home court advantage. And we talk about it in the UK, and it happens in Germany and other places, yeah. But, you know, in America, like, you haven't been getting the whole cool cooking for a while, so, hey, it looks like that's what it looks like. But I think the right guy won. I just think the scorecards are wide. No, I didn't like. I think it was like a point in the fight level, but hey, it could have been a draw in it. Like, but you know, he's been fighting the very best. He's been fighting the very best. You know, Cormier, he was a very good fighter. You know, that was a good fight. You know, he got the belt on that, and then you know, he fight this guy. This guy's a top as well. So maybe they're gonna fight again. So
Bo, and I'll go to you, Bo and Gus. Your thoughts on this?
Yeah. The thing about Shafikov is Shafikov is a hard out for anybody. I think I was reading what people was saying Robert Easter might be done, he might not be ready. No, it's not that. It's just Shafikov is a tough out for anybody. Nobody walks over Shafikov. The problem is, for some odd reason, these guys fight him, and they're taller than him. They have the longer arm reach, and they can't sustain that through a 12-round fight with him because Shafikov is a bull. And I actually knew that the fight was going to be tougher than what it should have been when Robert Easter said, I'm looking to knock Shafikov out. And I'm like, okay, well, he's not going to box him, because if you box this dude, you know, you're not stationary for him to hit you, you're moving. But if you're trying to knock him out, that means you're going to give him your height and your reach and give him a chance, because that's his fight. So,
well, you know what, Bo, do you know why? I mean, that's one of the things that I was wondering too, exactly what you said. Why was he so stationary and he didn't move like I've seen him move in the ring before?
Because Shafikov is a bull. I mean,
yeah, I know. I mean, that's one of the reasons.
That's why. You see, the problem with a lot of these newer generation fighters is they don't work so much on technique as they do on being flashy.
Mm-hmm.
They don't work, and that's like, if Robert Easter and even Rance Bartholomew should have just been jabbing, moving, step to the side, give him angles, jabbing, step to the side, give him angle, occasional right hand, maybe even a jab to the body. Well, that's technique. I'm not saying they don't have it. I'm saying that they just don't work on it as much as, you know, as they do with, in my opinion, as they do with style. But
I agree.
But like a Shafikov, he's a tough out for anybody. So I wasn't surprised, especially after Easter saying he was going to knock him out. It didn't shock me that the fight wound up the way it was. Now, I felt Shafikov won this fight. But
yeah,
even though they gave it to Easter, that's fine. But 120 to 108, that's a scorecard you filled out the night before and put it in your glove compartment and took it to the fight.
That's for damn sure. You know, Shafikov is one of these Eastern European guys who has found a home at the summit up in Big Bear with Abel Sanchez. And he has got a great formula for taking these guys with lots of solid amateur fundamentals and imprinting the Mexican-style aggression on top of them, which is what's worked so well with Gennady Golovkin. And guys like Shafikov get up there and go through sort of the same program. Problem with Shafikov is he doesn't have the raw power to pull it off like some of these other guys, like Golovkin, like Murad Gassiev, for example, in his division. If Shafikov had had even a little more power, Easter would have been gone. But Shafikov has a lot of wear and tear on him. He's got a lot of miles on those tires, which we have to remember. You know, he also reminds me a lot of Zlatikanin. You know, these small guys, the fundamentals are super sound. They bowl right in. And one thing the American guys don't always learn is how to cut that ring off, the ring generalship. When you can command the space like that, it gives you so many more opportunities. And that's what Shafikov did so well. It's interesting, preparing for this fight, Shafikov did a lot of sparring with Ryan Martin, who won the night before. And I talked to Ryan for a long time before his fight, a few days before his fight last week, and he talked about what he had learned from Shafikov, which was fascinating. And it was good prep for him as a young guy. And Ryan Martin is one of the few young American fighters with a pretty solid and a fairly extensive amateur background, you know, and it's something not a lot of American guys have, and it is going to serve Martin really, really well.
Yes, it is. And
you on this one, Gus. All right, go ahead, Daniel.
I was about to say yes, it is, because this is a fight, and Shafikov is known for one thing. Shafikov will make you fight his fight eventually. No matter how tall you are, no matter what advantage he has a style where you ultimately wind up fighting his fight. And that's what happened. And interesting enough, like this is the second time it's happened against an opponent with a similar style. They will remind people of Richard Comey, where he was starting out with it pretty early, but he wound up fighting Comey's fight in the end. And both times, you can argue that the other guy won. So, first of all, like I said, the scorecards are just atrocious. Like, that's not even a scorecard you filled in the glove compartment. That's a scorecard you filled out the day you were announced as the judge for the fight.
It's a scorecard that means that there's money in your bank account. That's what it is.
Yeah, like there were some wire transfers there from Waddell and Reed. But at the end of the day, though, like I said, it does show, unfortunately, that Robert Easter, for as tall as he is, for the range that he has at lightweight, doesn't fully know how to sustain that advantage. And I asked yesterday the question, should Easter go towards just easy defenses for the moment or try to unify? I kept thinking about it. Like, Flanagan's still the only guy he might have a good shot of unifying with, but that's because that's Terry fucking Flanagan. But if you put him with Lars will wipe the floor with him just on skill, because Easter can't maintain that advantage.
Yeah.
I'm going to you, Gus. Daniel Terry mentioned how Kov has a way of having opponents fight his fight. He did against Easter, he did against Comey, even though I thought Comey edged it out. Kov here, in terms of particularly that makes him such a difficult opponent to fight.
You know, Mike, this fight has ignited my range no end. I'm absolutely disgusted. You know, my heart bleeds for fighters like Denis, Kirill Relic, you know, Richard Comey, you know, who have been denied fulfilling their dreams, their destinies, being the recipient of just horrendously bad judges and scoring. But in terms of, in this fight, Mike, I recall when the fight got announced, I got laughed at when I said Denis Shafikov is all wrong for Robert Easter. And in hindsight, that was the case. The Richard Comey fight showed me a lot of Easter's vulnerabilities. I really believe he's a victim of his own, of hype and ego. And if you listen to him both before a fight and after, he doesn't know anything about his opponents. He dismisses anything they have. He's talking about fighting two people in the ring at the same time after he doesn't even acknowledge anything, rather than addressing his own issues. And his problems are, number one, straight punches, and number two, his defense is non-existent. He'll operate a shoulder roll, but then he'll go back to try and utilizing his foot movement. And Denis was very clever in the way he was setting him up. Left hand leads, as opposed to the southpaw right hooks, what he was doing against Jamal Herring, because of the way Herring's was rotating to the right. So that was working. He was coming onto the right. But here, as Easter was going back, he was pouring with the jab, trying to hit him with the right to keep him away. But Denis would then fire that left hand up top, and then he would work the body. So he was very, very good in the way, he engineered his attacks. He was the ring general. He was the aggressor, and his body punches depleted Robert's energy. He was gone. To be fair, Easter, to his credit, he did have some tremendous exchanges with Denis on the inside, and he had to do that because this guy was a buzzsaw. He ate all of Robert's punches like Pac-Man. Didn't even fault him at all. I didn't even see Denis even stunned. I mean, what a chin this guy has got. What a fighter he is. Relentless, articulate as well. In the way he's not reckless. He's not just like a bullpup, pressure fighter that you see. Very good, methodical in the way he structures his attacks. Yes, he'll take a few punches, but the way he rolls his body, Mike, he knows Easter's coming down with his jab, so he's rolling his upper body, his head, to get underneath the jab, to roll the punches if it's coming. But then he can fire, his power punches from either hand. The right hook, left to the body, but especially the left up top was working well. I felt Denis was a clear victor in this fight. The ring general definitely.
And unlike so many,
sorry, Mike.
like so many other pressure fighters, he's a guy who really understands fighting at an angle. Not all pressure fighters do that.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
Yeah, absolutely, Mike. And regarding, the scoring, Mike, pre-populated scorecards. I mean, if we look at the two culprits, we got Jamie Garayua, who's a resident of Ohio, as is Robert Easter. He was also the judge for Robert Easter and Luis Cruz, and he's been the judge for countless other sort of Ohio fighters. So impartiality, no way. You can clearly see a tendency for this guy, to receive whatever payment and pre-populate that card, because a shutout is impossible. And the second judge, who was it? It was Eugenie Grant, yeah, who resides in New Jersey, USA, predominantly a PBC judge, very experienced, but has also judged for numerous other promoters and even overseas. Did the Stewie Hall fight over in Yorkshire, but has also adjudicated for numerous sort of Adrian Broner fights and other Ohio fighters. So clearly, once again, Mike, impartiality can be scrutinized there. It's disgusting. I mean, I've written a letter copying in all of this, the presidents of the sanctioning bodies, proposing an idea of an overarching body. But these people are never going to rescind their power because they're the beneficiaries also the instigators, along with the promoters. That's why I've just become, disillusioned with the sport, Mike. I haven't really seen very much recently, hence why I've not really been on this show. And quite frankly, I don't even really want to watch another fight again.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, really?
That's a lot coming from you. That's a lot, Gus.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
And from what I know, that's a lot.
Yeah, man, I'm gonna.
Is
I'm
it
gonna
just
start
the
my own
combination of what we saw
podcast.
last week? What we saw last week, the Ward Kovalev reached a level of frustration you just can't take anymore?
If there's any consolation, Mike, Denis Shafikov, he makes corruption in boxing's anti-corruption, anti-robbery, pound for pound top 10 list. The all-encompassing list. And fuck ESPN, fuck the Ring Magazine boxing scene. That's all bollocks, mate. My list is the definitive list.
Bruh, let me tell you something. That Cormier got robbed against Shafikov, and no one said nothing about that. So, dude, he come to Cincinnati and he got robbed. Cormier went to Russia and got robbed against Sting. I thought Cormier beat Shafikov. Shafikov went to the States and got robbed, and that's the way it goes. And end of the day, you get home court advantage. If you don't stop the guy, that's what happens. I'm a judge. I'm an amateur judge, and I try and judge it as fair as possible. But wow, the two other judges next to me, hey, all the time, some of them are home judges, and sometimes they give it to the home time fighter. That's the way things are, man. That's the way things are. Boxing is what it is. I ain't gonna stop me from watching it. I'm gonna watch it in a minute. You're the one missing out on all the great fights and stuff like that. But I respect your opinion if you don't want to stick in the sport. But end of the day, yeah, some of the greatest fights you've seen, you're gonna miss out on. You know what I'm saying? These things happen. Don't get emotionally involved in any fighter. It just happens, isn't it? Like I said to you, Cormier got robbed, in my opinion, against Shafikov. Shafikov got, in your opinion, you guys' opinion, against Finney. So that's the way it is, isn't it? Happens, isn't it? Home court advantage. Manny Pacquiao fans are all crying and going on crazy over they feel their fight going. But end of the day, they're not. If you're a real boxing fan, you're gonna stay through good times and bad times, innit? That's the way things are, innit? But hey, that's what it is.
Yeah. Okay, Gus, are you really gonna miss Luis Nery?
That's what I was gonna ask.
Maybe, Daniel. Maybe.
Wow.
Whoa. I'm shocked. I'm sorry. I'm shocked, guys. Gus and I, we've been talking about the Nery Yamanaka fight for months, even before it was announced. And yeah, I'm shocked at what I'm hearing right now. It's a record to collect myself here.
Well, you know what? I used to get frustrated with the commentators, and now I just mute whatever fight I'm looking at, and I look at it and watch it without all of the other noise and opinions coming in. I sit there and I watch the fight myself, and I usually wind up watching it more than once anyway. But that used to frustrate me, especially watching fights on HBO. And I said, why am I putting myself through this? Why don't I just mute it and watch the fight, and then I don't have to listen to that. And it works for me.
Yeah. Not for me. I think a revolution is needed, and I'm going to try and work on the political side to try and instigate for the regulation of the sport. I'm going to try and go down that route. I'm prepared to do something about it, and I'm going to try.
Well, that's very commendable. I mean, I have to agree with you. Something needs to be.
Gus is funny, man.
Suleiman has already wrote back to me, so I'm getting some response. He's so.
Dude,
Well,
getting.
EJ, before I begin, I do have to say this because it is an interesting thing. Shit. This new generation of the heads of the sanctioning bodies, like Suleiman, like Mendoza, they tend to be a bit more receptive to the public than their fathers were.
Yeah.
So they tend to listen. Look, we have to mention Endam Murata. people went at Mendoza. Mendoza like, wait a minute, what happened here? And he went to different people in his commission saying, is this bullshit true? So ultimately, I think you are onto something, Gus. You can change it. Unfortunately, boxing is a beast that has survived change after change after change for over a century. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes the more things change, the more stay the same. Unfortunately,
Dude, if you want to
Well,
change,
and we've gone through this with every judged sport on the planet. You know, when you put it in the hands of human beings, that's what's happened. We've changed the scoring system in gymnastics. We've changed the scoring systems in figure skating. The big difference is you don't have guys and women risking their lives for the sport. So the stakes are so much higher. It has gotten better. Is it perfect? Is it even good? Sometimes no. But I always tell myself, you know, this is boxing. It's a human endeavor, and you know, you just have to carry on. And someone told me very early on, you know what? If you get emotionally invested in any of these guys or gals, you know, boxers will break your heart. They'll break your heart every time. So
that's right.
you have to watch it. You have to watch it, and you have to think about, you know, those great moments in the sport. I'm not willing to throw out the great moments for the lacking moments like we had this weekend.
Well, you know
I'm not willing to do that yet.
You know what, Gus, yeah? Let me say something, yeah? You feel that strongly about like ring, why you just try to be a judge yourself? Like that's what I did. I saw amateur like thing, just go down there, get yourself, make yourself a job, put yourself in a position you feel like they're not scoring properly. And that's what you do. Like you know, you want to change the system, be a part of the system, you change it. You know what I'm saying? Like writing petitions and stuff. They're gonna read your petition, yeah. And just throw it in the bin. Like you become a judge and you try to be a referee, you try and change things inside out. That's the way things are. You know what I'm saying? Otherwise, that things are always going to be the same. And to be honest, the guys you want to win don't win, and that's the way things are. Like, but one thing about boxing, you have two fists. If you feel like it's going to go against you, like Hagler says, mate, get me. You know what I mean? Just go in there and just like what he did to the British fighter over here. Just plainly go in there and knock them out. And that's the way things are. Corruption is what it is. Anyway, you're corruption and boxing now. You ain't done no videos yet. You've been around for the longest. You're supposed to do some videos. Al Heyman is corrupt. Use the PVC models, dudes. You know what I'm saying, Gus? Like, if you're going to do something, you know what I mean? Like, procrastinating, you know, go and do something, get it? Like, be a part of the system, like I said to you. Like, I'm an amateur coach. I'm an amateur judge. You know what I mean? I'm part of, like, the corruption in amateur boxing is rife, yeah? And everyone complains about. But when I'm there, and when I've been there, and some of the people around me, I've got into the sport. No one in times of the events I've been in, they haven't really complained. There's been because me and the other judge, we outweighed the last judge who basically I don't know what the fuck he's seeing, but we call the fights down the line. So if you want to change the sport really that way, you seem like a fairly intelligent dude. You know what I mean? Get your qualifications. I want to hear Gus. That's what I want. In fact, that's what I want to hear. I want to next time I talk to Gus, I want to hear Gus is a regulated judge from Nevada. You know what I'm saying? And then Russ is down there. That's all I want to hear. Get out there and then you can really change something inside out. Because you know you're one of the judges. You know what I'm saying? Some of the old guys are going to be old and Gus go down there. And you do your judging and maybe people come after you and you can explain your scorecard. So
but an individual judge is not going to change it. You're going to have to. It's all about the corporate. It's all about the governance of the sport.
No, Gus. If you're a regulated judge, yeah, for a commission, yeah, you're regulated to do a job. Have you noticed when any judge, no one goes up to the judges after the fight and say, "Oh, what's your name?" You can't do that. When you're a judge, yeah, you do your thing and that is it. No, I think the area manager comes up to you and maybe says, "Oh yeah, about your opinion," but there's no judge is going to judge again. Nothing ever happens to the judges. Nothing ever happens to the referee because the job is hard enough. No one wants to be a fucking judge anyway. Like, I'm a judge, yeah? I realize it's like bloody playing football on Sundays. No one wants to be a bloody judge, but in my club, yeah, they asked me, yeah, EJ, do you want to be a judge? I'm like, yeah, okay. The other day I done the judge. One of the bloody trainers tried to attack me. I ain't even fucking lying, bro. One of the
EJ, if they slip in a couple of 50-pound notes in your pocket, you'll be given a 121 or 8 score.
You know what? Because the kids work. I understand what the kids work for in the gym. work so hard, and when it comes to the weekend, they deserve the right decision. If you feel that strongly about it, like I said to you, you become a regulated judge. It's not hard. In fact, it's not even hard to be a regulated judge. You know what I'm saying? A lot of you guys could do it on your part time while you're doing it, while you're covering fights. You know what I'm saying? So that's the way I feel. A lot of guys, if they want to change the sport, they sit there, they be like Teddy Atlas, boxing's this, boxing's that. You know what I mean? Be a regulated judge yourself and let boxing. Why don't some of them old boxers who fought, why aren't they judges? Because they don't want to be judges. They just want to sit and complain. I'm not like that. I actually just went out my way, jumped myself on a course, a 2-day course, got myself my certificate, and now I'm a qualified judge. I'm a qualified trainer, and that's it.
EJ, all I'm saying is I hear what you're saying, but the angle I've worked in anti-corruption for 20 years for major corporate organizations. I've done it, Bank of New York, etc. So I know the angle, what's needed, and I'm going to try and, to see if there's any possibility of trying to invoke that into the sport, because I think it's desperately needed.
What are you talking about? Bring the government into the sport?
Regulation.
Nah, man, I don't agree with that. I don't agree
a central one regulating body, no sanctioning bodies.
I don't agree with. I don't agree with that. But you know what? At the end of the day, you have your. I don't agree with that. I don't believe that one person boxing. If that was the case, it'd be like UFC. When we make our videos like now, they'll shut us all down. All of us will be shut down because they control the media and everything. That's why boxing
they're not getting decisions like boxing, so there's no argument there.
No, I understand that.
There are some bullshit UFC decisions.
Yeah, yes, there is.
Not to the frequency of boxing.
Yes, there is. Yeah, there is. There's loads of them. There's loads of them all the time, man. I watch UFC all the time. It's the same, man. It's because it's the same judges.
You've got boxing judges in UFC.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. Yeah, that's what I'm saying to you. So, because remember, it's Nevada. They haven't got a UFC commission. It don't make no sense. They have a boxing commission, and because they need judges. That's what I said to you. No one wants to be a judge. That's what I'm trying to tell you. If you want to be a judge, it's not hard, It's not hard. They probably take you a couple of days. They give you a couple of easy bouts to see if you're good, to see if you're
small fight. I want to be a regulator. That judge is nothing.
Yeah.
But anyway, Mike, let's not digress on this argument, because I don't think my point is being received as it should be.
Your point is being received. We just don't want your pessimism. We don't want to lose a fan to bullshit. That's the main where it is.
I don't want you out. I hear you, Jeff. I just don't want you completely out the game.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. Because there's a lot of good fans in sports and boxing that they lose because of what you talk about. At the same time, that diminishes the sport. And what does it do? It doesn't change what you're mad against. In fact, you're technically rewarding it because the people that are disgusted by it leave, and the people that stay around, and I don't know what it says about us in a certain sense, but we stay around because we love the sport. But we do take the bullshit with the good shit. Like right now, I want to raise the roof a little bit, or bring some happiness into it, because after we talked so much shit last night about Felix Verdejo, he changed his mind, and on September 16th, he's going to be in Manchester challenging Terry Flanagan for the WBO lightweight title.
He's coming to England. He's coming to England. I'm going to support it, man. That's my guy, bro. That's my guy.
The thing before we move on, Gus, is I hear what you're doing. Do both. And I think there's room for what EJ is doing and for what you're doing.
We need both. That's what it is. We need both.
Gus, it's a compliment and a testament to you. You're a very smart guy. You have very good opinions. I like the way you break things down. And I agree with you. Everybody has their different roads that they're going to go on, different paths. EJ is doing his path. You're going to have your path. But I agree with Mike and Daniel. And, I think you can still do your objective, but still stay connected to the sport. And, I think it would be a big loss for you to not hear your thoughts and be able to, debate intelligently with you and, you know, talk to you about the sport and, you know, fighters up and coming. You know, boxing's or actually all sports are love hate. You know, there's goods and there's bad. There's never going to be a perfect sport. But you know, I respect, you know, your decision, but you know, hopefully you'll change your mind.
Yeah. Who knows what'll happen
Yeah.
later on. At this moment in time, netball is more appealing than boxing.
What? What did you say?
He's running long.
You said netball?
Wow. Did you call netball? Oh, okay.
Nah, bro.
Oh, wait. Oh, I almost forgot the date. EJ, I hope you have your caffeine ready.
Why you say that for?
Because the date for Verdejo Flanagan is September 16th.
That's all right. Why would I do caffeine for that? I ain't trying to stay awake for that long. I ain't trying to...
Because Canelo Triple G's right afterwards.
No.
Triple G versus who?
Canelo.
Man, I'm more interested in
Canelo. That's the same date. That's the same
that
date.
fight's never competitive. I'm interested in Felix Verdejo, man. Like Felix Verdejo versus Flanagan. Felix Verdejo, man.
Because we run the show so long, I think I'm gonna hold off on the mid-year report for next week. But before we get off, what I do want to talk about is Lomachenko. After Rigo's bout against Flores, it was been a lot of discussion about a possible Rigo bout. To the point that Rigo said that he would to fight Loma. Now we hear that that fight is not going to happen. Matter of fact, Rigo tweeted about it, I believe, last night. Said that fight is not going to happen. Loma's going to fight Mariaga. Look, I know people are praising Rigo. Fighter. Isn't anybody wants to respond, please do. Particularly his team, catch some side eye, particularly from the negotiation table. Have this situation where he said he moved up to fight him. The fight is not going to happen.
Yeah.
The situation with Salido, the fight is not going to happen. And they initially lowballed Salido from the financial perspective.
Yeah.
Say what you want about Nicholas Walters, too, and kind of left him out there on the shelf. And they're doing all this while they're trying to anoint him as #1 pound for pound prior to what Ward did against Kovalev in the rematch. I'm just asking the question here. Vasyl Lomachenko is, and the fighter, should there be of him?
Yeah.
I think you were going to say something, Bo. Start it off, Bo.
No, I was just going to say, listen, I'm not surprised that they didn't fight Rigo, and I told you, I said you have there's a lot of mitigating circumstances here, but the main one is, you know, Bob Arum being willing to make that fight. And that's why I tell people, listen, I don't blame the fighters. I think Lomachenko will fight him if you put him in the ring with him. It's Bob Arum's. But the reality is, my thing with Mariaga was you went from, and this is what I be trying to tell Lomachenko fans, is you have to understand, you went from Orlando Salido, which was not a cherry pick, to an actual cherry pick in Mariaga, who last fight was to Oscar Valdez at 126. And then you bring him up to 130 for another title shot. What has he done to where you can tell me justifies giving the guy that last fight was a loss at 126 and bring him up for a title shot at 130? And basically he skipped over everybody that was in the ranking system of the belt that he held. So yeah, there should be some criticism thrown their way because, again, you went from Orlando. This is who you went from Orlando Salido to actual Mariaga. And then we found out, and this is why I tell people, you can't hang on everything that you hear. You have to listen to both sides. Now, we were told that Orlando Salido turned down $720K. This was something that was in the papers. Then Bob just did an interview with Hoop Jab where he said, no, Orlando agreed to everything. It's just he hurt his hand in the last fight and needed more time to train to make weight and couldn't make weight that day. So it had nothing to do with him turning down the money. That's why. So it's just Lomachenko is starting to become one of those fighters that if you say something against him, and regardless of it being objective, people take an automatic like disliking to you about it because they think you're talking about the fighter. And in essence, you're really talking about the team. The team made a bad move. I say it again. Orlando Salido You went from Orlando Salido to a guy who last fight was Oscar Valdez in a loss at 126. And if Oscar Valdez can beat him, and you're telling me this Lomachenko is the number 1 pound for pound guy, then is it not hard for me to believe that if Lomachenko can beat this Mariaga, and you're bringing him up to 130, and his last fight was a L at 126? That is the part that got people feeling a little sour. But you know, him not fighting Rigo, I'm not surprised. And then on top of that, that's a fight that I think Lomachenko and them team want more than 40 days to prepare for. I think they want more than just 40 days to prepare for Regundiao. They want a whole camp to prepare for him. So, you know, I wasn't surprised by it. And, you know, and I'm not one to call it a duck because they was never talking, there was never negotiation. But, you know, at the end of the day, if we look at it in the vacuum, Salido, Mariaga. Salido on the victory run, Mariaga last fight a title shot loss at 126.
Gail, and then Adrian.
You know, this is a keep busy fight. I don't think everyone needs to be in a dead panic about it. You've got to fit guys in on the calendar. You got to find the right dance partners. You got to make the money work. And both Salido and Rigo are going to, you know, eat up a lot more cash. Lomachenko is not quite yet a guy who can make a lot of money with audience. He's still a niche fighter. And I was sitting ringside for Valdez and Mariaga. Valdez barely won that fight, barely. And Valdez is, you know, top ranks big star. That whole card that night in April was just a mess. That was a, you know, Shakur Stevenson didn't have a great outing. Zurdo Ramirez didn't have a great outing. I don't know what the hell was going on that night. I'm not thrilled entirely by this matchup, but I'm not horribly troubled by it. And you know, one fight does not a guy's career make. I mean, I would far prefer Lomachenko stay busy and take a fight like this than sit around and wait for the perfect matchup. It's the bottom line. You know, you got to get in there and do something.
Well, I was looking forward to seeing. I was hoping that this fight could be made, but after I saw it last night, where they had posted that Lomachenko was going to go ahead and take another fight, you know, I just figured, hey, I have to wait and see. But at the same time, Rigo's not getting younger; he's getting older. Mm-hmm. And we really don't know what his real age is coming from Cuba. What little bit we saw the other night, I mean, he's still fast, and he's accurate. As far as the call go, yeah, it should have been a no contest. I'm glad they're going to fight again. I don't know. Does anyone know how soon it would be? The fight would be?
I'm not glad because who needs to see it?
Huh? I'm sorry.
Who really wants to see that?
I do. I do.
Glad because who really wants to see that rematch between those?
Well, you know what? We know that we know that Rigo's probably gonna win.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and get it out the way, so we don't have anyone questioning who actually won the fight.
Well, it's a chance for Rigo to stay busy too, which is
exactly, so, exactly.
Yeah, I have to look at it like that too. But yeah. I'm not thrilled with the fight, but it's a chance for him to stay busy.
Right. That's that. In fact, that's even more important to me that he stays busy. And I think that fight would be great because they have a very similar style. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it. If and when it happens.
Go whip that ass, man. Rigo whips his ass.
Oh, yeah.
Your thoughts, Jacob, then you can follow up, EJ.
Yeah, I mean, I hear what Bo's saying. I think, you know, bringing a guy up for 126, but in the same regards, I mean, I kept on hearing you say he took an L in his last fight. That fight was way more competitive than this card showed. They were very reminiscent to the Easter card that just happened. I remember when they read off the scores, I was there along with Gail. and it was, you know, it was a very competitive fight. But I mean, at the end of the day, all what ends up happening with these fights, you know, we want to see these big fights happen when they should happen, and you know, all these politics, and you know, whether it's money or training time or promotions or TV deals or whatever, all this stuff put into account, it makes things a little messy. I'm of the opinion that, you know what, if you get offered short money, you know what, go in there, take that money, go in there, beat that guy, and then you're the man. You know, if you can knock out your opponent or, you know, win convincingly, then you know, now you're on the A side, and you're gonna get the you should get the bigger part of the money. You know, you're more in control. So, but to put yourself on the shelf, I think is a bad move. I always say I like my boxers to be active, because you know what, you can waste a lot of time, you know, waiting for the perfect fight, like Gail said, and it might never happen. So, you know, you gotta strike while the iron's hot.
EJ, and then Gus and Daniel.
Yeah, man. Like I feel like with Rigo, the situation with Rigo's trying to challenge for the best, and Lomachenko's that dude. And if you're Lomachenko's people, be like, man, we want to see him get older. So there's no hurry for Lomachenko. Lomachenko feels like, you know, and that keyless guy, the one who's Sergio Kovalev. You see him running up his mouth saying Andre Ward is not a real champion. He was a real man. He'll give back the belt. So you know their mentality in that. And it's not. I agree with Lomachenko. If he went in the ring, he'd fight him. But the management is what they want to do. They just probably keep Lomachenko winning against these Mayuragas and whatever. You know, keep it beating these guys out and let Rigo get older. And that's what they're trying to do. And I want to see the rematch. I want to see the rematch, man. That guy tried to bloody cheat Rigo out of his belt, man. He tried to, you know, sit down on the. I want to see him. I want to see Rigo whoop his ass, man. That guy's out. He threw a punch first, yeah. And Rigo, get the fuck out of here. Rigo threw a punch back, and that Vic Dakovic was like, hey, what's going on? Oh, you're on the canvas? Oh, you're the. I was like, man, come on now. Like, the referee should went over to him, like, yo, when to continue, I'm going to disqualify you. Get your ass off the canvas. You watch how quick that guy would have got up. So Vic Dakovic handled it funny. Then you got that Jim Lampy in there calling the commission. Man, we trying to add his little 2 cents. This tells how much he hates Rigo. Now I want Rigo to go in there and whoop him. After you whoop him, yeah, he won't call Lomachenko out. Like he done on there, he gonna get that work too. But that's what I think they're gonna try and do. They're gonna try and make Lomachenko, not really Lomachenko. They're gonna try and, you know, we don't need to fight him now. It's like Billy Joe Saunders. He said when I interviewed him the other day, he said I'm gonna watch them beat up each other, Canelo and Triple G, and then after I'm gonna call out Triple G because I think he's gonna. Exactly. That's what we're doing here. That's what these people are doing. And that is the politics these days. It's all about timing. People say Manny Pacquiao and Floyd. Well, Freddie Roach and that situation, that fight could happen a long time ago, but Freddie Roach didn't want to take the drug test. So if Freddie Roach felt confident in that fight, they should have took the drug test or whatever may have asked. So yeah, we're gonna whoop you because they took the drug test in the one 5 years later. So why don't you just take it 5 years earlier? You know what I mean? So in the day, the fight's gonna happen, and you know, I want to see it. But like I said, we don't Rigo go turn up, but Rigo wants to fight the best, and why not? Why not? He's with Rock Nation. He's with people who look after him, you know, and I'm glad that Rigo got protected, man. You know, I feel like Rigo is big with Bob Aaron. He got looked after bad, man. So yeah, I'm happy. So you know, I'm happy. I want to see the rematch. I want to see Rigo, and like you guys said, he's active. So that's my take.
I go to you, Gus. I hear the part about Rigo being active. I just don't think you reward someone who just basically try to cheat his way and quit his way into a title. I just have problems with that. But in terms of Loma and EJ talked about politics and BS, you're dismayed, Gus, about the politics and BS of boxing. Is there a level of politics and BS in terms of not Lomachenko necessarily the fighter, but his handlers in terms of who he fights, in terms of the backroom negotiations with fighters per se? Unmute your mic, Gus.
Yeah, I mean, I think, I mean, I think, 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 I Yeah. Mike, this whole Vasyl and Guillermo Rigondia, that's a saga that should have transpired a number of years ago in the past, but quite clearly, Guillermo Rigondia he's just faded into obscurity now, and he has not helped his career at all. Poor decision making, etc. With he's got a complicated. I understand his promotional structure and concessions that the sanctioning bodies gave him, but he hasn't helped himself. He hasn't put on the performances that would allow promoters to carry on putting him on pay-per-view. So, as far as I'm concerned, it's self-inflicted. And those two now, I don't really want to see it. I think Vasyl is a little bit too big for him, Mike. I think Vasyl probably even stops him. But getting on to Vasyl now, his situation is quite. It's a bit of a bizarre one. Gale is right in the weight, yet there are fighters preoccupied and there are fighters injured. Absolutely. The Miguel Berchelt fight is the fight everybody wants to see. Now, that will be his test. We know him and Tank Davis is not going to happen. Floyd is he has his own strategy, and I'm hearing that Tank could even fight Orlando Salido. So, Floyd is starting those psychological mind games against Vasyl, who I feel he feels is the toughest in the division. But the problem with Vasyl, Mike, is that when a fighter has a large minimum purse, and at the same time the promoters having difficulties in getting that fighter on pay-per-view because for the fact that HBO and Top Rank, that relationship seems to be, I don't know, but I don't know whether it's dead and buried, but obviously Bob is pursuing other avenues on sort of ESPN. That's not his desired path. Ideally, he would want Vasyl to be fighting pay-per-view on Top Rank. He's always talked about that. That is his strategy going forward. If not, I think he made the errors of putting these fighters on Top Rank pay-per-view. A bad decision having all of his up-and-come fighters. So what do we have now? When Vasyl he's even renegotiated his minimum purse, Mike. It used to be $450. I'm hearing now it's like $640, $650. So how much residual cash does that leave for Bob to get any other fighter? You're going to pay them what? Less than 100,000, because how much turnover are you going to make if the fight's going to be on free TV and you're talking about 15,000-20,000 people? Bob's actually, he's going to be pouring money out of his own pocket. He's going to be taking financial hits. So this is a situation that they've dug themselves in, as I'm concerned. So, that's why a number of fighters have been turning him down. You're making, derisory offers of 50, 60, 90,000, to even other champions. They're not going to fight for that, So, what do you do in this situation? You had Ito, you had Evgeny Chuprikov, who was available to fight. The WBO rankings is not blessed with a lot of talent that people know, but there are some good fighters. Ito, the Japanese boy, is very good. You got Kenichi Ogawa. So, there are fighters definitely there. Mariago is a fighter I like very much. Tremendously underrated fighter, has been for years. Bo's talked about, he's a career on.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but you thought he Valdez, didn't you?
Sorry?
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought I believe I remember you feeling he beat Valdez that night.
I can't remember exactly how I scored it, but it was a very, very close. It was a tremendous fight and a very, very close fight. He does definitely pose some threats. It's a 4-pound, differential. Vasyl has also come up from 126, so the numerical advantage is not going to be that pronounced. You're not talking about, going up 8 pounds for somebody who's not even campaigned at that weight. Mariago he's not a big featherweight either. That's the other problem. Vasyl is quite a big super feather. I don't know, Mike. You can't actually attach any fault to Miguel. he'd think he's won the national lottery going for another world title fight, back to back, even coming off a loss. He's going to take that fight. He's probably going to get more money than he's ever had before. So, fair plays to him. I think he's got a chance, definitely. So you can't really, all around, Mike, you can't really, attach too much criticism. There's a bit of this and a bit of that all the way around. So I guess it is what it is.
Hey, Mike, can I respond to that real quick? Mike, can I respond to one of the things too is that I think you have to admit that Bob Arum had a lot to do with Rigo not getting the fights that he wanted. Now, I have to also say that was part of Rigo's fault too. He should have been staying busy. I mean, now he's been probably busier this year than he has the past 2 years. But Bob Arum he had such a disservice by coming out after he beat Donaire.
Yeah.
And him coming out and talking about how boring he was. Now, I hadn't heard that until after he beat Donaire. And, I was very upset about that because he is someone I really like to watch. He has all the skills, to me, that a boxer needs. And for Bob Arum and HBO to blackball him the way that they did was totally unfair.
Yep.
I agree with you there, but I just think that fighter in terms of a seal, I just believe that maybe his team has something to do with it because some deserves some more criticism because I believe it was you, Gus, who reported first here the insulting low offers that they gave to
Salido.
That they gave to when it came to negotiations for a rematch. And I can't get that situation with Walters out my mind. And Arum
that's
played.
Another one. Yeah, because Walters hadn't fought in a year and a half.
Yeah, that's right.
A year and a half, and he was desperate, really, for money.
And he still is. He fought since.
Right. Yeah. And for Bob to put him on the shelf like that, and then bring him out against somebody like Lomachenko, really?
Yeah.
Well, when it comes to, and like I say, when it comes specifically to that case with Walters, Al Heyman had something to do with that. Because remember, Nicholas Walters is not solely promoted by Top Rank. He's also a Warriors boxing fighter. And at that time, Warriors Boxing was doing business with Al Heyman. And you know what happens with sometimes Top Rank fighters, so they get close to Al Heyman. Heyman gets to his ear, says, "You're not making enough. You should hold out for more." And meanwhile, as this was happening, Warriors Boxing had a falling out with Al Heyman. So not a lot of their fighters were getting as many fights PBC fights as they were before. So in a way, he got screwed both ways.
That's his fault, right? That's his fault.
Yeah, that's a little bit in his fault.
Well, it's both ways because, again, like I said, I mean, they had really put him down pretty bad. And I can't remember the fighter. I do remember the trainer because he's here from St. Louis. But that one that they had up there in New York at the Rockefeller Center, I believe it was. They had it like on a stage.
Yeah.
Radio City Music Hall. Radio City Music Hall, yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, everybody got up and left after Ann Wolf's guy.
Oh, Kirkland, you mean?
Yeah, after Kirkland beat the other guy. I mean, he pretty much knocked the guy out.
Tappy?
Standing up. Yeah, Tappy. So, I mean, for him to do that and then for you to see all of these people just walk out and they hadn't even really gotten in the ring yet good enough to fight. And I thought, man, this has really had an impact on his career.
Oh, no. That's not the one at Radio City Music Hall. That's the one that they had in Atlantic City.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Because Glenn Tappy's from Jersey.
Okay. Yeah.
And in reality, they were billing him as the main event, and they just threw Rigo. Remember, that was Rigo at Vetco.
Right.
They just kind of
threw exactly.
Oh, by the way, Guillermo Rigondeaux is fighting at Vetco for his title, but it does not change a couple of things and a couple of points that you made that I've always stated when it comes to Rigondeaux. Bob and HBO have never forgiven Rigondeaux for ruining Nonito Donaire for them.
That's
good.
Yeah.
That's very true. That's very true.
They've been some salty. Yeah, they certainly have.
Yeah. Because, look how they were building Donaire. Oh, good left hook. He's from the Philippines. He's going to be the heir apparent to Manny Pacquiao and the Filipino fan base. He speaks better English. He has a good story. And then when they put him against Rigo, Rigo ruins him. And let's face it, Donaire has not been the same since.
Yeah, good. And then he gonna do the same to Lomachenko. Don't get twisted. He gonna ruin him as well. That's why Rigo's that good. And Andre Ward, that's why it's with Rock Nation, and that's why Andre Ward appreciates him. Andre Ward said, "Man, I know this is you. I appreciate your skills. I know how good you are. That's what's up."
They would rock Nation for the time being, but they may not be Rock Nation for the. Saying.
Well, Rock Nation.
But actually, Rock Nation's in trouble for Nation.
Yeah, as a boxing entity, yeah, they're very, very in trouble with it, and
they are in the red for real.
Yeah. Now this goes into the effect of why the reason Rock Nation even went to boxing to begin with, because, like I said, the other side of the business is post agency. They're going gangbusters. They're gonna, like, in the next season, they're gonna land huge money for Kevin Durant again. But it, like I said, to me, going into boxing was an extension of Jay-Z's beef with Al Heyman for the music industry.
Yeah, well, he's done all right. He's got Andre Woods and he's got Rigo, so they're doing all right. So
I'm just saying for the time being.
They Rigo, and they can make money. So then, like, Andre Wood, how much he got guaranteed of what? $6 million? $6 million. So he's good.
Yeah, and look how many, only 6,000 people paid for the rematch.
What other stuff don't matter? What other stuff don't matter? Right now, he got guaranteed.
There's so much in the red that I don't think they can really promote a major deal like that again. That's how bad in the red they are.
Jay-Z just dropped a new album.
Oh, dear Jesus.
Jay-Z just dropped a new album, bro. That's like, bro, they ain't in no red for that long. It ain't like me and you in the red. Jay-Z just dropped a new album.
That doesn't have.
What is wrong?
A cookie? That doesn't have anything to do with the boxing side.
Yeah, no. You don't put the money into the boxing?
No, he's not gonna. No, if he pours it into, he's pouring it into the sports agency.
Yeah, well, hey, listen. All that financial stuff. Rock Nation is nice. Rigo's there, Ward's there, and they ain't complaining, and I'm good. So what other stuff that you guys are saying? I hear you, but bro, ain't no one else complaining. I ain't complaining. They will say the same thing about bloody PVC. It ain't gonna last. So we're still here. So what are we talking about? Let's move on.
You don't play with borrowed tires on
PVC. There is.
They done a good job of like reducing the markets that they did, because they came out too early, and they wore that money out pretty quick. But now they're actually investing.
They run a much tighter ship than Rock Nation would have done. Boxing.
We was supposed to be busted, man. They're still here. Like, they were supposed to go down. It can't sustain itself. All the stuff, they're still here, man. Come on now. Rock Nation ain't going nowhere. Like, Andre Ward, and Rigo's with them as well. So they're good, man. So let's go. Let's keep that moving. Keep it popping.
Okay. Well, have you guys seen this? They're literally gonna do.
I'm just saying.
Okay, this just came in like to the wire, I think, and from CBS Sports. literally, like, they're gonna do exactly what they did with the Bradley fight to Jeff Horn. The WBO is gonna rescore the fight.
What?
They are, yeah, they rescored it, but the decision
But they're not
remains
gonna
the
change the
same.
decision.
They've
But
already,
they're
that's it.
Yeah, exactly. It's not, so
No,
it's
they're
you.
not.
Yeah, of course not. You can't change the decision, right?
no, they can't change the decision. But once again, it just buys into the fact that, okay, Manny lost a close fight, but we don't want to believe the great Manny Pacquiao lost a close fight.
Oh, you know what? That's ridiculous.
Yeah, they can rescore it. Yeah, no, they usually do that anyway. They have to do that because they always do that with their judges anyway. That's what you do with the judges. They go over and they review it. That's normal procedure, man. That's nothing. Nothing. It's just to do. It's training. It's training, man. Just to see like where they went wrong and stuff, so they can try and be better. It's nothing. Now y'all just making something into something. A mountain out of mouth hole, whatever you guys call it. A mountain out of mouth hole, whatever hole that is. Yeah, you know what I'm
I
talking
hear you, but I'm just saying,
Yeah, that's normal.
giving you a warning.
That's normal.
Give you a warning about Rock Nation. That's all.
Yeah, I'm rolling with Rock Nation because they got two of the best fighters in the world, so I'm rolling with them. Bro.
Write it on your
For
calendar,
now.
Michael. Write it on your calendar.
For now.
Write it on your calendar.
For now. July 6th. As of July 6th, 2017. You got them for now. So I think we're going to go around the panel here. Ladies first. Adrian. For those who want to
I'm on
whatnot,
Facebook.
let the folks know where they can hit you up.
I'm just on Facebook. It's Adrian Yoshino. That's ADRIENNE. Yoshino is YOSHIN as in Nancy. O.
And I see Gail, she had to dip out early on us. For folks who want to talk the sweet science or dancing with the stars or environmental issues or anything like that with her, check her out on Twitter at PR Pro San Diego on Twitter. You can also check out her articles and stuff on Communities Digital News. That's DGDIGI News. So yeah, go to Bo here from Truth and Facts for folks who want to talk the sweet science. Follow the adventures of him and his daughter, now that his son or his son now, and also give a plug for the apps. You in the app business?
Yeah, you follow me, Truth and Facts about boxing on YouTube. My son has the light skin syndrome, so he might not want to do the videos. He got that pretty boy light skin syndrome. I might have to knock him across.
Oh dear.
Yeah, he got that. He walking around here. Yeah, he walking around here with that good hair that I should have got. I tell him that all the time. But yeah, you can also follow
so
me.
you saying he Al B. Sure?
Oh yes. Oh heck yeah. You can't tell him nothing. He walk around here with his shirt off, scaring the hell out the neighbors. But you can also follow me on Twitter at capital T for Truth _F FactBox1 and Instagram at Truth and FactBox1. You can catch Adrian on there too if she answers her phone when I call her. You can also find me like right here on Pound for Pound. Shout out to Team and Dongo for getting everything straight with the IBF. That way, when they fight Terence Crawford, it will be for a undisputed champion. Shout out for them for making that. I am very excited about that fight. We're going to have undisputed champion Crawford and Ndongo worked hard to make this fight happen, and we're going to get a great fight, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You can also find me at Hands of Fire Podcast, The Movement with my partners 2K from Prodigy of Boxing, Twana Divine Liberty from Hoop Jab, Big Cool from Colossal Boxing, my partner Karan Bernard, aka The Realist Casual, and anywhere where they just talking boxing, man, you can find me, and you can also catch me on Daniel's show. And shout out to Jacobs, to Jacob. He had to leave, but shout out to Jacob because he's always sending good positive stuff and everything. And shout out to EJ. I mess with EJ a lot, but EJ does keep it popping with anything that hits about boxing. He's sending out the messages, waking me up 2 o'clock in the morning, and I'll be like, "Didn't your ass be asleep?" But shout out to EJ for doing that, though, man.
Nah, it's almost 6 o'clock in the morning in the UK. So.
Yeah, he's more of
Yeah,
a,
I think
he's
he
more of a
drunk.
vampire I
I
am.
think he
EJ be
took a.
up so much.
I'm on American time. I'm on American time, bro.
Yeah, I was just gonna say. I think he shot some Red Bull in his
EJ
veins or something.
Yeah. They liven me up, man. I'm livening me. Gus, man. Gus leaving. I was like, what? That shit would have woke me up, bro.
Yeah,
No.
you usually times like this, EJ, you can hear him snoring. We have to mute him.
Nah, but the show good. The show was
So
hot.
yeah,
Manny Pacquiao, bro. Like, that shit was hot.
one more thing, bro. I know you working behind the scene on your own version of the Ladies Love Boxing show. A bit of a shout out about that.
Oh yeah, I'm Gail. I'm gonna get Gail. I'm gonna try to get Francis. I'm gonna Adrian, and it was God. It was one more. It was one more person. Oh, Donna Michelle, and Denise Ward. I'm gonna try to get them on. You know, and also, man, look, shout out to Pep Talk UK. I did an episode with them. They always reach out to me. They know you, EJ, too. Every time I mention your name, they just laugh.
Yeah, I saw them today. I see them all the time, man. I know.
Yeah, every time I mention your name, they just laugh. So yeah, shout out to them because they always reach out to me to be on the show as an American correspondent, and I like it. And I just want to say, like somebody mentioned earlier, and you're right, we do this because we love the sport. And to Gus, I feel you, but the very reason why you feel that way is the very reason why I started my channel. I felt I was better than some Travis Gotti, than some what's that, Global Boxing, or whoever that. I just felt I was better than a lot of them dudes out there on YouTube. So I started my channel. That's what I did. I said, you know what, I'm gonna start my channel. I'm gonna get my truth that I feel is what I feel about boxing and my passion out there. And I'm just grateful because it'll be a year next week, and I'm grateful because in 1 year's time, I've done interviews, I've been on this podcast, and I've been around other great boxing minds. So it definitely tells me that, you know, I not only do I know something, but I'm doing something that's being respected, and that means more to me than anything.
There you go. That's right. That's right. Contribute. That's what.
Given that the case, I'm going you Gus for folks, and I want to say keep hanging in there, man. Don't give it up all the way. For folks who want to talk boxing, who want to talk music or anything else, let the folks know where they can find you.
Folks can endeavor to can't find me anywhere.
Can't find you anywhere.
No, I'm anonymous. Traveling around as well at the moment. So I don't know, Mike. As you know, I'm not operating on any social media. I don't plan to either.
I think we got to have a new nickname for Gus. He will be the boxing nomad.
Ooh. Ooh.
No, but keep saying he's traveling. So if you're going from state to state, location, area code to area code, yeah. Nomadic life. But yeah, don't fall out too much. Don't fall out too much, man. Like I said, there's always going to be bullshit with the good things about it, but
bro,
there's too many good things about this sport for you just to get involved to get drowned by the bullshit.
Bro, he's not the only one left out. PP left the other day as well. He left the YT. He left the YouTube. That crazy racist dude. He left the. He had enough. He when Sergio Kov left, that was it. He was out of here, bro. He was out of here. When Sergio Kov lost, he was out of here.
Oh, you mean Sean?
No.
Nah, I mean PP. What's his name? Besides percent on that racist.
Oh, that dude.
Yeah, he vacated the premises after Sergio Kov. He couldn't take it no more.
Well, no offense, I'm not gonna shed one tear for that. So
no,
it is
that's
what
what
it is.
I'm saying. So, you know what I mean? That's all good.
I'm not shedding one tear for that. So I see Jacob. He had to leave as well. So I'll give his information. If you want to check him out from boxing, you can check him out JRATM23 on Twitter. You can also check him out over at Jab Book. He's the editor and writer over there at Jab Hook. JabHookBoxing.com. Going to you everywhere, all over the UK for folks who want to talk to sweet science, of Thrones, which is coming back soon. All right.
Game of Thrones, that's what's up. AJ Boxing Live, catch me on Twitter, Instagram. You know what I'm saying? Like I was at the press conference. I should have went to the press conference today. You know what I mean? Like I was at the fights last weekend. I was at the fight with Joseph Boatse and all them fights there. You know what I'm saying? Like I go my media potential. I'm everywhere. Like I'm a judge, train fighters. You know, next season I'll be training my amateur fighters, and then obviously I'll be getting my pro assistant license. So I'll be trying to help out my fighters. One of my fighters has got his pro debut this Sunday at the Your Cool Tunde. Shout out to Tunde. So you know he got there. So that's what's gonna happen. I'm just in the process of like in my club, IQ Boxing. He's an IQ developing fighters. So they're putting him on a circuit. Hey, look, none of them go get that big exposure now, but you know in a couple of years we maybe we'll see how it goes. But I just enjoy the process of being in the fight game, talking fight from amateur to from club level to pro level, and here on pound boxing, and also my own shows, whatever. It's not a show, like it's just a group of guys get together and talk. Yeah, across the world with you guys, and Bo, Michael, Daniel, Jacob, Girl, and hey, Adrian, you need to add me on Facebook, man. Add me on Facebook. Errol Jar, add me on Facebook. So yeah, that's where you can catch me. I don't really add not many people on Facebook, but like for anyone listening, yeah, you can catch me on Twitter and Instagram, and yeah, YouTube.
What are you under on Facebook?
Yeah, Errol Jar. You'll find me in there. Errol Jar. You'll see a picture of me on a bike. I'm on a Harley Davidson. I'm a Harley.
What I'll do, Adrian, I'll just send you his information via private message on Facebook.
Great.
All his
Yeah.
And
yeah,
I take it. Go ahead, DJ. I'm sorry, I was interrupting.
What's that? Yeah. So yeah, you guys.
I said, go ahead, finish.
I
was interrupting.
No, that's all right. Yeah. Like you guys can catch me there, and I'm trying to cover the fights this weekend. We've got a lot of fights covered this weekend. The UK has got a lot of domestic fights. We've got Ahara Davis versus Josh Taylor. That's gonna be really good. You know what I'm saying? And also we've got another Josh. We've got Anthony Yards fighting the European level. We have Daniel Dubois. The next heavyweight contender. They said that he knocked out Andy Joshua sparring, and we have a real domestic fight between Jermaine Smiley and Darryl Wilson for the British weight. I think it's like super middleweight title, and they had a war. If you want to check that information, go on IFL TV. Check the information. I might go to the weigh-in today, depending on how I feel. But yeah, I'm all over YouTube. It's just all boxing related. So that's up, man. Check me out.
And I take it, Bo, that was your son rocking that pink scarf like he was Cameron circa 2000.
I'm so disappointed. That's all I can say.
Well, we'll give it to you this way, Bo. Killer Cam was able to pull it off for a while, so there's hope.
That's all I can say. Yo tengo depresión, tú sabes, porque es no bueno para los cubanos.
Finally, you, Daniel, for folks who want to talk boxing, for folks who want to talk the NBA, specifically Miami Heat, or for the folks who want to back at certain teacots and conservative trolls on that. So let the folks know where they can hit you up.
Yes, you can find me on Twitter, Ruckus99. I've recently, I think I made a habit of just making Mike Huckabee my bitch for a while because he just keeps saying stupid shit. But you can find me on Twitter. I find me at the Inscriber Digital Magazine, doing articles there. You can find me, like I said, on my own show. We normally try to do it Mondays with Joe and Francis for BoxingNews.com. Like I said, really good people. Know the boxing world, know the Chicago boxing scene really well. And like I said, and always catch it here. And yeah, next week, dude, geez, we saw how many cards we have to cover next week. So that is going to be a fun show next week.
Indeed. First of all, before I give my information, let me say this. I went off. Stephen A. It's kind of a system that put him there in the position that he didn't deserve. Um, to in which he um, and the ridiculousness in the way he carried himself there. And as Adrian and Bo knows in particular, it's just not him. And his piss poor job and his ignorance about the sport often force fed us in other avenues outside of boxing, mantle the mic to speak for us when, let's face it, he doesn't. So that's why I decided to go off on him in the way that I did and address him here tonight. Um, be called out on not just boxing, but in other areas connected. Yeah, that's why I went there. And sure enough was enough. Given all his problematic stuff outside of boxing, is now put in a position to talk about the sport that I love, that we all love, and take really, really seriously. I did a great offense. For folks who want to talk the sweet science or music or even fitness stuff with me, you can check me out on Twitter, Brother JR at Brother JR76. As I said to begin the show, if you want to check out all things pound for pound boxing, just go to the blog page. Please go to the blog page, bboxingreport.wordpress.com. The link, check the right of the page. You'll find on Facebook, the YouTube channel, Tumblr, as well as Twitter page. Also linked to where to listen to us on SoundCloud. SoundCloud, get your act together. I saw the breaking news on SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Play Music, Player FM over in the UK, as well as Mixcloud. On the next episode, I know we were supposed to do mid-year report because we went so long talking Pacquiao Horn and all things that. We're gonna say that until next week. Be a status report mid-year sport, as well as doing a preview of all the boxing that's happening on the Abraham is fighting Eubank that day. Miguel Burchell is fighting with Takashi Miura. Jezreel Corrales is fighting on the undercard. Joe Smith and Sullivan Barrera is also fighting on that card. Omar Figueroa, Robert Guerrero. So all those fights are happening. All those fights are going down. Lee Selby is also Barros on the Eubank Jr. Abraham undercard. So we will talk about preview all those bouts. So for Adrian, for Gail from Community Sigil News, for Bo from Truth and Fact, Gus from Corruption and Boxing, from Daniel the Inscriber, Jacob of Jab Hook, the one and only EJ Boxing Live. I'm your host, Michael. This has been episode 174. Pound for Pound Box Report. I know we went a bit long. I apologize for that.
That's
but
fine.
had a lot to discuss. We will see you next week. Evening. Good night.
Okay. Thank you, Michael.
Peace.
Good night.